I probably should be playing like some Mary J. Blige, battered, broken woman music. Because I think that's the best way to close out Women's History Month, acknowledging a woman who has been there through her music to support our women as they're going through some of the toughest times in their life caused by men.
Well, for one, AC Lee, good evening. But two, sir, I don't know if you've checked your calendar, but by the time we record next week, it will still be Women's History Month. So I don't know if you got the script for next week already queued up a little too early or what.
Shit. Yeah, we do.
Sounds like you're just trying to move on from our women, brother. And I'm here to be the first person to tell you that no, I don't accept it. We've got another week. Okay. Another week and a day at that. It'd be one thing if next Thursday was the last day or something. You just slipped your mind that there's 30 days, even though there's 31 days in March. I just thought that I would correct you before you went on and said whatever it was that you were going to say. But you can continue on.
I appreciate you. You want to know what makes it worse?
What's that?
I'm closing on a house on the 31st that I know is a Friday. I'm sorry, women. Please forgive me. Look here.
I'll let them speak. I'm not one of them, so I'll let them speak for them.
Hey, but I'm here, giving our queens a shout out. Like, I haven't even worn this shirt yet, and I'm debuting it on a pod, just to show my love for women in Women's History Month. I mean, I don't buy shirts with men's faces on them.
So some people will be like, but you buy them with their last name on the back of it.
Yeah, good one.
I'm just saying, some might say that.
You're right. And you know what? I'm going to be buying some women's jerseys soon. Tom Brady, he's making his way to one of my favorite women's teams. I'll be getting me a little Kelsey Plum jersey for myself and the youngin.
Little Plum life, huh?
Yeah, I might get her a Asia Wilson jersey though, because some might say I should allow my my young black queen to wear another young black queen's jersey. But whatever. Have you watched any women's NCAA?
Yeah, I have. I mean, as you know, we spoke one night, and I think I told you I bet like Colorado's women against somebody. It was like Oregon State or something in the Pac-12 tournament, and I got a much-needed parlay hit that night. So yeah, I've been a little dabbling, just a little bit in it.
So I watched.
South Carolina's going to win the whole thing. Okay. I mean, but we're big Dawn people, obviously. Me and
Dawn, she be so fresh on the sideline. It's so funny because the school is sponsored by Under Armour.
I hate how people hate on Dawn.
Dawn is not sponsored by Under Armour.
Dawn's not sponsored probably by anyone.
Dawn had on some forces with some spikes on it and some baggy Louis V pants, some Aladdin pants, and that shit was fresh.
But you know what? She threw on, I guess, whoever was the first HBCU.
Chaminade State or something like that?
It was something, yeah. And I guess we should know a little bit better considering we're HBCU grads. But
we don't know all them HBCUs, man. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, somebody could name one to me today, and I'd be like, who's that? But I bet you they know where we went. So
everybody didn't go to Morehouse. Sorry.
I'm aware.
So
I'm aware.
But no, they do hate on Don. What's his name? Gino was talking about the way they play the game. Hey man, I'm not gonna make it racy this early in. But hey man, chill.
Do you think that Gino is the Dabo of women's college basketball? Because of how Dabo would come out and say, "Nah, we don't do things that way around here."
He gives off that vibe.
I'm just saying, like that white guy vibe.
It gives off that vibe of, we do things a certain way here and we're not going to do that the new way. Okay, man, you're accomplished. You have a right to stand on that, but your team will look different because Dawn's team looks different than all the other women's teams.
Dawn's team looks like they play for Dawn, and that is ultimately you're playing for your college and university, but you're really playing for your coach in a sense of, because that's the reason you're there. Because if people that went to Alabama were playing for the University of Alabama, then they would never need a Nick Saban. So you're always playing for the coach that they have in place, right?
Yeah.
And certainly it helps if you're at a university. Is like, well, nah, this is the best of the best. It is the best of the best. That's why I'm here as coach. South Carolina doesn't have that same mantra. It's not like South Carolina's been a powerhouse at any sport at any time in history. What it is Dawn went there. She was the first of her kind, and she was like, I'm going to build this program up. And it wouldn't surprise me. You know, I hate to almost say it in a weird way, but what Deion Sanders wanted to do at Jackson State, I bet it would be 10 times easier for Don Staley to go to Spelman or where. I tell you, let's just
Spelman don't have sports no more.
Let's do D1.
Hey, hello. You remember Spelman turned their sports program into a gym?
Well, they knew that it had better use that way too. So
that's how I got a jersey.
So this is what I'm saying though. But if Don Staley, now I bet money if Don Staley went to Howard, I bet that Howard will be in the same spot that. So, because even without the money like allocated to that, she could turn that around very quickly.
She could bring the sponsorship dollars, but the problem with Dawn doing that is she's the highest paid coach in the SEC. She's getting paid.
She's been waiting to get that. She probably makes 1.5 maybe.
What she makes $1 million in base salary plus $2 million in supplemental pay, so she's getting $3 million a year. And why would she go to the WNBA? And here again comes the problem, right? And we're not gonna open too much more on women's basketball because we want people to watch the show. If she's getting paid $3 million, that's damn near the payroll of a WNBA team.
Yeah.
Well, University of South Carolina can afford that because they have a football program and they have donors. They have a lot. And Dawn is selling tickets. Don't get it twisted. Now she's selling tickets, selling jerseys, selling merch, and all of that stuff.
Dawn's moving the needle. Okay.
She's moving the needle, but when people want to talk about the WNBA being a women's basketball issue, it's not. It's a women's professional basketball issue because I made sure to tune in to watch Dawn them on Saturday. I'm gonna tune in to watch Dawn again this weekend. I know someone who was looking to buy tickets to go to watch Dawn. I know somebody who's going to the Sweet 16 just to see South Carolina to go watch Dawn them. Yeah, like they're marketing their superstars, and unfortunately for the players, the superstars, the coach, but hey, dog, they look different. Like, you know how Nick Saban's teams used to look different from everybody else, and now Kirby's like caught up. Dabo kind of caught up, but those teams just look different.
Yeah.
That's how South Carolina's basketball team looks. They just look different from everybody else.
She's definitely flipped the college women's basketball game upside down. And I think it's crazy how like it's not even being looked at. And I said it last year when they had won. I'm like, bro, she's building a program in South Carolina. Like, that's no shots at the people of Columbia or anything like that. But I do think, considering we got to see, especially in a conference that had been dominated so long by Pat Summitt at Tennessee.
Don't disrespect the balls, man.
Was it Muffy McGraw, right? She was at LSU. No, she's at LSU now.
No. Kim Mulkey's at LSU.
Kim Mulkey is what I meant.
Legally.
Kim Mulkey, but she was at Baylor. Now she's at LSU. Tennessee is still Tennessee. Pat Summitt or not. That is still like just like UConn is synonymous with women's college basketball. Like, hell, you get reminded, even if you don't want to watch the women and you want to watch the boys play, every time you watch Tennessee play on TV, it's Pat Summitt court. Well, it says it. It says it on it's Pat Summitt court, which makes, I mean, she was the first legend of women's college basketball. But I'm just saying, my point is that Dawn's doing this in that same conference. Mississippi State just won a national championship 4 or 5 years ago. LSU's always had a pretty solid women's team. Tennessee, of course, is Tennessee, and she's, rolling in and doing all these things.
Well, you know what makes that work, right? And then we're gonna close this out. It's Happy Women's History Month, right? The football. The football is making so much money that now the schools can move the money around and build up their other programs. Because look at SEC basketball. SEC is not a basketball conference, but they're starting to dominate because they got the money to spend. They got the facilities. Like Michigan State, who just got beat. When Mel Tucker came in and said, "Hey, Michigan State, here's what I need to run this program." Dang, what's his name? Izzo stepped in and said, "Hey, we need this stuff too, and we're a basketball school."
That and then I think that just when everybody looked up and they were like, "Damn, Michigan State got $100 million to allocate to a nigga coaching football for real."
Can he even coach that well?
Well, it turned out in year 2 we found out not that well.
Well,
but,
man,
it wasn't year 2. I tell you what, year 1 of the contract, because I think he had been there 2 years, so year 3 overall. But
so Candace Parker is going to be the face of basketball
for women,
like the female face of basketball. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they're itching to give her a full-time seat on inside the NBA.
I'm not mad at trying to get a woman a seat who deserves a seat, and I think she has the notoriety, the name recognition for the seat. Hey, women, don't take this the wrong way, but she's attractive enough to be on TV because
that too.
We're not putting ugly women on TV. ESPN's gonna show y'all something when they make these budget cuts soon.
Nigga said.
But she's just really not that captivating, you know, or entertaining. And it has nothing to do with her being a woman. It's just like there's a reason why D Wade doesn't work at Turner anymore. The nigga wasn't good.
You probably how much of her basketball did you ever watch in the WNBA? About as much over her span. I guess she's still playing 15 years or whatever she's been playing in the WNBA. Probably as much of that as you watched of her in college combined, correct? Over a 15-year span, and what you saw of her in the WNBA is what you saw.
I think I saw more high school than college. I mean, excuse me, than WNBA. And that was just the McDonald's All-American game when she won that dunk contest.
Right. And I watched, plenty of her at Tennessee. She was a big deal back then, too. Matter of fact, I remember there was a Sports Illustrated cover of her and Sheldon Williams, naturally, because that's who she was dating and ended up marrying and then ended up divorcing, and now she's gay and has a whole nother child with that lady. But
good for them, you know.
Those are other stories for other days to break that aspect of life down. But point being is I can even remember as far back as then, and at UT, her being, the best player in the nation. And it's amazing at how this stuff has changed so quickly. Like,
yeah,
there have been so many girls that have come through that circuit to where you would think, okay, well, who would they do? Lisa Leslie was obviously like one of the first promoted. Well, first promoted, you could really say Cheryl Miller.
Yeah.
Right? Like Cheryl Miller.
Yeah.
Certainly from a media standpoint, because she was doing TNT early, even when Reggie wasn't out of the league, I don't think.
Yeah, no, Cheryl was on TV.
And Cheryl Williams, not Cheryl Williams. Cheryl Miller was apparently the goods. Like, she was everything and more. I think I saw she scored 100 and some points. And
like Reggie went crazy one game, and they were talking about what Reggie did, and then he's on the high, then finds out that his sister
right. She didn't have the WNBA because I think by the time, because she's older than Reggie, but by the time the WNBA came around, maybe she was
too old.
Yeah, she was too old to realistically go in there and give her best foot to where anyone would think she was worth a damn. She could have Arvydas Sabonis the thing. Arvydas Sabonis went to the NBA and was 38. He was. He played his whole career in the Euros.
I know, but he did enough.
He was still a good center, I guess, for the Blazers at the time. But
he did enough that everybody recognized who he was, and he was just old. But if Cheryl Miller had done that,
who guarded Shaq?
Right, but if Cheryl Miller had done that, she gets remembered differently. But look, we've done 15 minutes on women's basketball, and
you're ready to move on. Let's move on.
No, like
we're History Month, guys.
We're trying to do numbers here too. I have no problem talking to women's basketball. We can put it towards the middle or the end of the show, but hey, dog, like I do want to captivate an audience at the beginning of the show, and
you don't want to give them some melatonin. I understand.
You're a dick. Speaking of which, Candace Parker could give me some melatonin the way she's looking on TV today.
Yeah.
Speaking of Candace Parker, she's Chicago.
Standing over you, asking for it. And then what?
What is she asking for?
I don't know. It could be anything. But if she's standing over you, she's 6'5".
Well, if she's asking for what I'm willing to offer, then you got yourself a goddamn deal there, Candace.
Why does Jay Wright look old as fuck and he just retired?
Because he's stressed. He was
but he's making sure he's got this big ass. Now he won like more than one at Villanova. I know he won at least 2. He won 2 or 3. Either way, he's only wearing one ring. And it's this big ass V on his finger. I don't know. We got the same thing on the screen, so that's
I think Jay Wright living in Philly. You know, I mean, look at Meek. He's always angry, right? Living in Philly, recruiting to Villanova, and coaching 3 stars and making them good. It takes time off your life.
That dude, though, 20 and 19, bro, that is crazy in the tournament. That is actually crazy and I know we're not.
Ride Kansas State, baby. Ride Kansas State. This is Kemba Walker type shit.
I like that. But that is what dominates these tournaments. And we know this from the get-go. I think Justice tried to talk down on what it is that I believe, in a sense of, I don't think it's anything to believe in. We just know that this is the way that these tournaments go. They're guard driven. It's all about the most dominant guard. And typically it's a senior guard that's on a solid team that gets you through. And I'm just saying 20 and 19, bro, that's
crazy.
I mean, at most in an NCAA tournament game, bro, that is wicked.
Like, that's Austin Reeves type.
He did it at MSG. This game was at MSG. Like, that adds to the lore. Like, I don't know, man.
Austin Reeves kind of basketball, but you know, I had a great segue.
He was really good.
No, we're not going there. I had a great segue from Candace Parker from Chicago to Michael Jordan's untouchable legacy that, you know, the tournament kind of threw that off, but that's what happens when we watch TV and we record at the same time.
Go ahead.
You get our real brain. Let me tell y'all something real quick. Let me pull y'all behind the fourth wall. The pre-show that we did was fucking amazing. The stories we started off with, like that one story I told you about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gold. That is golden material, by the way.
But we know some of the stuff we just can't.
Nah, because
we can, but we shan't.
Not yet.
Not yet.
If we start running out of topics, you better watch what you tell me.
I don't even think we'll run out of topics. I think it will be more of just along the lines of they don't deserve this conversation.
Yeah. It's a respect thing. Anyways, Michael Jordan's legacy. MJ has a movie coming out this week, Air. I mean, you talk about the MJ hype train really heating up. He came out with the Last Dance during the pandemic. Everyone's quiet, you know. Let me remind y'all who I am.
Oh man.
Now we got Air coming out right before we heat up for the NBA playoffs. It just happens that LeBron is not playing. He's getting ready to sell the team.
And that's got everything to do with why this man wants to put this film out.
We got Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Viola Davis, Marlon Wayans, Chris Tucker, Jason Bateman. I mean, we got like an all-star cast in this movie. I forgot LeBron did just break Kareem's all-time scoring record. You know, It's something about this MJ hype train. And it furthermore cements the legacy of Michael Jordan, the untouchable legacy, the legacy that you cannot try to poke holes in, because every time you get close, the marketing machine, the media machine, the Jumpman pops back up, and it further elevates him above all of his contemporaries.
Okay.
And Parlay Pete knows where I'm going with this, but for those who don't know, I'm being a little facetious here. Because MJ has, I mean, you can't criticize MJ. If you say that I think so and so is better than MJ, well, 6'6", he averaged 30 a game. Okay. Well, he didn't win the championship without Scottie Pippen. Yeah, but Scottie was I know. He had sex with Larsa 4 times a day. She made sure we found that out. Every day, 4 times a day. Even when he was on the road, they had sex together 4 times a day before FaceTime. But no, man, the real conversation. Why can't we criticize MJ and poke holes and it be taken seriously? Or why can't people acknowledge that part of what has solidified MJ's legacy as being the unquestioned GOAT is he had the best marketing campaign of any athlete in history?
I feel it's the same way I feel about his playing days. I just wasn't there to see it. So I think that there's a lasting legacy of the media pushing him more than anyone. But that's probably because at least during his playing era, and when I say his playing era, let's just get it completely right, the 90s. Because even in the 80s, if he's drafted in 84 and his rookie year is 85, he misses a year too between then and the 1990. Like he misses a year, like a whole year basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me to not look at Jordan, but from what was pushed more so in the 90s. He didn't get pushed as strongly until he became a winner, is based on the way I see it. He didn't really get pushed as much, but he had all the individual accolades prior to that. He had already won an MVP. He won a Defensive Player of the Year. He won a Rookie of the Year. He had done everything but win a title in reality. Like he's that record, he did it against the Boston Celtics. It still holds today, the most points in a playoff game. They lost the game. He had 69 points, bro. In a playoff game. 63. Yeah, I'm tripping. Got my nose at 63 points.
Get your mind out the gutter there, nasty boy.
No. I think that might be his career high for a game, and we can even Google it to check me.
I'll Google while you talk.
I'm almost certain the 69 is his career high. Now we're gonna wait. That way, I just know I'm not fucked up. It's 69, right?
Yeah, 69.
All right, cool. All right, I'm
gonna call your brother. Hey, I'm gonna call your brother while you're talking.
Go ahead. But I think that the story of Jordan isn't a story, it's a factual thing. So, like, you know, to say that the media is the reason Jordan is Jordan, I don't agree with that, because you could just look at everything from top to bottom and you'd be able to see that isn't how he became him. I think that with social media and stuff today, it makes guys like LeBron and even a Kobe, if you will, it's a totally different ball game. So I don't know if it's a factory media type thing for Jordan as opposed to the other guys, is all I'm saying.
Now I want to make sure that you and the listeners understand that I think Michael Jordan is great. Mm-hmm. Amazing basketball player. And he earned the right to be considered the GOAT based on his play. I'm not saying that the media made him the GOAT, right?
What do you want it to do, Lee? Do you want it to die off?
I want
because there was no social media for Jordan
oh,
then.
no.
Anyone that's on social media arguing for Jordan now, for the most part, is either an older dude on social media or it's a younger dude whose dad, granddad, whoever told him, "Nah, nigga, like this is the best basketball player ever." See, look, look at Reed. Like,
Well, stuff like this. It's stuff like this. The Like Mike campaign. Like Mike. If I could be like Mike, bro.
They made that shit in like with Gatorade and like, bro, that shit happened in like 1992.
Yes, but that type of stuff.
Well before he even won multiple titles. Like,
but that stuff sticks around. The shoes, right? No other athlete has created more sought after shoes. Isn't it? He's producing $250 a year on shoes.
Who makes better shoes that look better than Jordan's?
Well, nobody. But I'm saying all of that stuff.
Kobe had some good shoes.
He did, but they're not J's, and you know.
Well, they're good to see. But Jordans also aren't basketball shoes anymore.
No, they're fresh. I mean, some of them were never basketball shoes. He just
exactly that nigga was just playing in them. But that's
the point. But the point.
Basketball. Kobe has better basketball shoes than Jordan.
Well, yes,
Kobe's shoes are more important than Nike than LeBron's are. In reality,
well, yeah, I agree, but the lore, the awe of the shoes, right? That all goes into the untouchable GOAT conversation. I'm not saying that Michael Jordan can't be the GOAT. I don't think he's the GOAT. Personally,
he's not the best you saw play.
No, and granted, I was not there in the 80s to watch the rise and fall, right? I watched the fall. I watched him in 98. I remember where I was when he hit the shot to win the 6th championship. I remember exactly where I was. I was on the couch bed at my uncle's house in Augusta, and when the game was over, I cried because MJ wasn't playing anymore. So I thought. And I went and saw him play in 03, his last year, or that was 03, right? Yeah. I went and watched him play his last year for the Wizards when they played the Hawks. I have some memories of Michael Jordan, right? And I grew up loving Michael Jordan. Won a ball head, all that. Got an MJ jersey in there. Got J's. All like I'm not anti Michael Jordan. By no means am I anti Michael Jordan.
I don't think you are.
But when I was wishing Justice would have answered the phone because he's like, nobody has a more complete legacy. Like, no one's accomplished more than Michael Jordan. I go, well, Kareem did as much as he did, and he played longer. And to me, I give you credit for longevity.
But even that longevity, this is the issue. This is the difference with the Jordan.
You're the guard.
Well, for one, like I said, internationally, and one of the things I brought up in the group and before we got on here was that I've been to a ton of countries, ton of them. Mm-hmm. And I know that you have as well, amongst other people. We've all been a lot of places. And one of the things that I can say at least just wholeheartedly is that is one of the constants I've seen no matter what part of the world I'm in. I see that jump man or I see that 23 Bulls.
That's the marketing campaign that increases the legacy off of the court.
And look, I get what you're saying from that perspective. I just think that it's also more so what Justice maybe was adding into it is that it's not fake fuel, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, it's real gas that's getting put into this car that's getting driven. Like, there is gas in the car. He's a 10-time scoring champion. I don't really want to hear it.
Nobody. Here's the thing. I never said that the gas doesn't deserve to be. I never said he was overhyped. I said he was the most hyped athlete ever. I never said it was overhyped because if I said overhyped,
bro, that means that for the 15 years he played in the NBA, and that includes his Wizard years, bro, he led the league in scoring almost every year that he played. Stop. He got hurt one year. He played for the Wizards for 2 others. That would mean 12 years. If you cut out the 1 year that he played like 5 games, and then his 2 Wizard years, that would mean that this brother won the scoring championship 10 out of 12 times. I don't really want to hear it. Like,
it only
only
Michael Jordan get years put out of his
LeBron being the all-time leading scorer in longevity and stuff. Because LeBron's not a scorer, and he's still the NBA's all-time leader, which is what makes his argument so great. Because anyone that watched him would not say that LeBron's a scorer. Like, I still don't think LeBron's a scorer. He can score when he wants to, but he doesn't do it enough, and that's why he doesn't have as many championships, because he can't do it when he wants. Then why the fuck? Don't give me that basketball play shit either. He would have more championships if he could score when he wanted. And so, because that would just mean that any time that he didn't think his teammate had the match, I tell you what, he'd come down and corrected the very next play. But that's what I would do if I knew that we wanted to win games. But maybe he doesn't want to win games. I don't know. So I would do whatever it takes to win games. If that means I've got to score more than everybody and take more shots than everyone, then goddamn, that's what I'm gonna have to do.
It's deeper than that, but I don't want to have that conversation today. I don't because I think that as I say, I don't want to have the conversation here. I fucking go right.
This guy won the scoring title 10 times, dude.
But that's
literally every year that he played basketball from 1987 to 1998, he won the scoring title. That is fucking scary. In reality, that's scary. When you really think about it, it's just like, nobody, you mean to tell me it doesn't matter who's on whose team? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a difference in mentalities. I mean,
he's a 5-time MVP.
Yeah,
he's a 6-time Finals MVP. Obviously, 6-time champion.
You're not telling me anything new. The on the court stuff has no. It's not.
He made the All-Star team every year, but his rookie year. And if you let them tell it,
he did everything he was supposed to do.
He's got a DPOY.
But when I hear Trae Young telling me that MJ is the GOAT, when I hear people who are our age and younger talking about he's the GOAT, I go, why do you think that? I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying that you're allowed to think this highly of him because of it's being thrown in your face over and over again.
Right.
We're not seeing Kareem being thrown in our face. We're not seing Wilt being thrown in our face. We're not seeing Bill Russell being thrown in our face. And you know how I feel about Bill Russell's era.
Those are that's what I'm saying. Those are decades and eras ago, though. Like, I could ask my dad. You know my dad, even when I was a kid, used to tell me who he thought was the best basketball player ever.
Magic Johnson.
My dad is 64 years old. No. Growing up, my dad said this was the best basketball player. And I hear it a lot, kind of out of legends and stuff. My dad said that Oscar Robertson was the best basketball player. But that was like who he used to tell me was the best basketball player. Now,
and Oscar Robertson is misremembered by people our age because we don't see him. We don't get to see Oscar.
Yeah, my dad talks about him. I remember, and I'm just thinking of just even when I was younger, like, even sometimes I still talk basketball with my dad even now, but like Elvin Hayes is somebody he brings up a lot. Like these are people he brings up. Obviously, my dad grew up. He's a big reason why I'm a Lakers fan. My dad was a Lakers fan growing up, but obviously the Mavericks suck, so I don't know why he would ever, because he's a Cowboys fan still. But like,
I'm glad you didn't take that habit from that team from him.
Nah, well,
I don't know if we could be friends. If you were a Lakers,
but my dad was more, and I don't know if that was more of one thing against my mom too. I don't know.
If you were a Lakers Cowboys fan from the state of Georgia, I judge the hell out of you.
Well, I didn't even grow up liking the Lakers. I guess. I mean, obviously, I did.
Like Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe is why. But I'm saying, even prior to the acknowledgement of Kobe Bryant, obviously kind of young to really remember, because Kobe had been a Laker pretty much, really.
Your whole basketball watching life.
Yeah, exactly. And so there is a difference with that. I don't know. But like with football is different. Football's different from basketball. But
hey, let's close out this MJ topic so we can hit a little bit of NBA because Jew and his pops are on standby.
Okay.
So can we agree that MJ is an amazing basketball player, but is helped out by the media marketing campaign that surrounds him, even though it is warranted and he deserves the hype that he gets?
See, but yeah, because you just had to throw that caveat in there. I mean, yes, the media helps everybody. So yes.
Well, they don't help everybody. They don't help Tim Duncan.
If it's warranted, what difference does it make?
They don't help Tim Duncan because he's boring.
It's his warranted, but
you can make an argument that Tim Duncan is a better basketball player than Kobe Bryant, and you are not crazy. You're not crazy for saying that.
I can't ride that wave. I'm sorry, Lee. But the only reason I can't, it's not that I'm not a delusional fan of Kobe either for saying it, but this is the reason why I do say it. Like I said, a lot of people can look at, and I'll run through it really quickly. Somebody like Kobe gets looked at under this lens of he has to be Mike.
That's he did that to himself.
Maybe he did, but I'm just simply saying, but that still has just always been, that's why his first name and Mike's last as a Bull, like that's why they call it what it is. Like he, even though he didn't come into the league with the expectation that LeBron did, he still came into the league with an expectation himself in reality. Like he did too. And he didn't play his rookie year, really. So like, which maybe helped him. I don't know. But what I do know is this.
Tim Duncan, 5-time champion, 3-time finals MVP, 2-time league MVP, 15-time All-Star, All-Star game MVP, don't care about that. 10-time first team All-NBA, 3-time second team, 2-time All-Third team, 8 All-Defensive first team, 7 All-Defensive second team, Rookie of the Year. Like, don't act like Tim Duncan can't be in that conversation.
I'm not going to act like he can't be in it.
And I was there. I watched it.
Because they're literally the same exact year. Because they all would have went in the same year, correct? Kobe, KG, and Tim. And it didn't matter that Kobe died. I think that Kobe was going to have the last speech anyways because his impact was greater on the league. He was a greater player for the NBA than Tim Duncan was. But
you're talking about off the court, and that's
I'm saying on the court too. This is what I'm saying because if he had to have been just as great on the court in order to even have that type of name a player that wasn't as good on the court that was better off the court. And don't give me Yao Ming or Tracy McGrady because of the Rocket shit. Like, give me a player seriously whose game didn't match on court as it does off.
There's no one significant.
You can't name it. That's what I'm saying. So like,
but hold on, no. But when you have someone like a Tim Duncan, whose game is bigger on the court than he is off the court, part of that is style of play. Like, hey, dog, don't nobody want to go watch Tim Duncan play. That shit's boring.
Nike should have promoted the shit out of like commercials of him in the islands and shit, and like motherfuckers in the islands playing.
But if he's not into that. We're gonna close this.
He played in San Antonio too, bro. I mean, there was so much stuff. And David Robinson was a great player before him that played there. They were a playoff team without Tim Duncan.
They weren't a champion.
They became champions, yes, when they got him, and he's the best player. And Pop, because Pop was the coach before Tim got there.
Parlay Pete, just say the outside stuff.
I'm not.
Affects how they're viewed on the court.
I can agree with that, but I don't think that that's the reason why. I think that the media pushes it because those people in that era watched Jordan play just the way some people in that what. Bro, no.
You are not gonna give the media credit for talking about.
I'm not. I'm just saying, but they did get this. They got to actually see the shit. So it's like. I didn't get to see Jordan in the 90s. I mean, I didn't watch it like this. So that's also why but you know that I'm also one of the few people that does believe that Kobe's a better player than LeBron because I got to see both of them. So I believe that Kobe is still a better player than LeBron. But I'm just saying, I can't be mad at somebody that's 48 years old that works at ESPN or FS1 or fucking Bleacher Report or wherever, and they've got this opinion that Michael Jordan's the best because when you look at Michael Jordan's resume, I don't think nobody else has that resume.
I'm not talking about the 48-year-olds because we're all gonna protect our era. We love 2000s basketball. We love it. That's the basketball that we learned. 2000s basketball. Kobe, AI.
A lot of those 90s stars played with because they were 90s. They were the young boys in the 90s. Like Ja Morant, in a weird way, can be like Kobe Bryant to MJ in a sense of they're like kind of playing in this. I know it's what it is because LeBron's longevity is so long, but like think about it. It's like this young up and comer in LeBron's league.
Ben Simmons isn't playing today, by the way.
Wow. I thought you set an alarm off or something. I mean, none of us are surprised.
Hey, let's push ugly because we got 20 minutes left in this block and we need to get some more basketball topics. Question for you. What happens if Luka doesn't make the playoffs? And let me caveat that, right? They are the 9 seed as we speak, same record as the Lakers.
Okay.
So they can very well get into the play-in.
Okay.
And say they play the Lakers in the 9-10.
Okay.
Lakers beat them because LeBron is back.
Okay.
So they make the play-in, don't make the playoffs. Is Luka still seen as a generational talent, despite his individual effort not being leading to enough wins?
Okay.
Is he still viewed the same way? Or is Kyrie the scapegoat?
I don't think Kyrie's the scapegoat at all. I mean, he came into a situation, had to learn a different team. I think that it's just ultimately that they weren't good enough. Like, I mean, that's just the real truth. They're not good enough. And injuries will, if anything, that'll be a big part of it too. Luka's been hurt like twice within this stretch. Kyrie has sat out game. I mean, I'm assuming he's hurt too, obviously. But, like, if they don't make it, you asked, actually, your initial question was, because this was actually my initial response. What happened basically if they don't make it? And my first response is that Kyrie's gone. I mean, that's my actual response. He's going to be gone because unless they're going to just pay him and then he's cool, he could, I guess, kind of force himself out again if he really wants to. But, like, he's going to be gone. But the Lakers don't need him.
What does our show look like if Luka doesn't make the playoffs?
It looks like a fucking. Let's see, how many days are in a year? We don't have a leap year, so I was gonna say 366. We don't have a leap year for another 2 years, or actually, next year would be a leap year. 2024.
Yeah,
366 days of hearing you talk about it. That's why I was trying to figure that out. That's why I was like, it's 2023. It's like, how many days are in a year? 365, 366. 366 days of you talking about. And let's not cherry on top it with Embiid winning MVP or something. Oh, and then, by the way, the Broncos had the worst record in the NFL with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson.
And don't let
you're being made for you.
Don't let LeBron or Philly win the championship. Oh, God, I'll be insufferable.
You said LeBron or who?
Or Philly, because I'm a James Harden guy.
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with Josh. All right, I don't know why I'm thinking Josh like lines his teams up. Josh isn't from anywhere. I keep forgetting he's not from any.
Jalen Hurts gets hurt in training camp, and Philly.
And Marcus Mariota wins 3 games.
God! Oh man!
I do you one better. He wins 4. that's damn near what he did for us. So.
Oh yeah. Oh golly, I don't even know if I would want to listen to this show. the topics that matter, we're not getting to them. It turns into first take. Let's talk about Luka being regarded as a generational talent, but not making the playoffs. But somehow he still makes first team All NBA, and Kyrie gets blamed for it. Got it. Oh man, oh goodness gracious. But in that conversation, Embiid winning MVP, he's now the betting favorite. Jokic, we talked about this in pre-production. I really think what Kendrick Perkins said is going to sit in the back of voters' minds, and that may have lost Jokic MVP. You know what? No. I'm going to take a stance. Kendrick Perkins bringing the race component into the conversation has lost Nikola Jokic the MVP.
No, I don't think that that's been necessarily the case. I think that it's also helped that just over these past few weeks, he hasn't performed as well, but it goes with it at the same time. I don't think that that is really a part of why he's lost the odds favor. Obviously, the Sixers have been heating up, and that makes a ton of sense to go along with it. But the biggest thing that I take away from it more than anything is just that maybe it's time for another MVP, and maybe the voters don't want to do the same thing. I don't think that Kendrick Perkins literally changed, because how does Vegas is not polling the voters. They're doing this based on the money that's coming in and then what's going on in real time.
But why?
Like that's how they really determine it.
But what makes the money change? And how many voters are on national platforms talking about where their MVP vote is? Kendrick Perkins, Bill Simmons, Ryan Russillo, Zach Lowe. That's 4 off the top of my head. Chris Broussard, make that 5. These are people on big shows or podcasts talking about their MVP votes. The money's coming in for a reason, and here comes conspiracy theory Adam. Adam, who just doesn't trust anything that he sees. Do you think the voters who bet on everything, who have gambling shows, aren't back channeling bets? Aren't moving odds?
No, absolutely. My bad. Something just caught me here, but
no, you're good.
But yeah, there's voter influence. Duh, right? Like there is voter influence. I just don't think that has anything to do with how the books have moved. I think the books are moving because they're like, all right, what are we gonna do about this? They're like, nah. Because the thing is that even it would depend on really what it was at beforehand to begin with. And the reason I say that is that if it was in some bullshit, right? Like if it was in shambles.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Brooklyn's about to blow this game.
Yeah, they suck. But
he walked. Now, Brooklyn was up, and they were up, and
garbage.
And Cleveland forced a turnover. Question for you though. Did we actually talk about Kendrick? Did we talk about Perk's comments and how I think he got it wrong, even though his brain was in the right place?
No, it got brought up, but
because I don't think it's the MVP voting that's racist. I think it's not racist or white guys identifying with a white guy. I don't think it's the MVP voting. I just think it's we did talk about it, the coverage of really good white players and the love for them. And for me, it's just implicit bias. It's if you actually read what critical race theory is and not what the conservatives will tell you that it is and why you should be afraid of it. If you actually read into it, it falls in line with that. Like somebody who you can initially physically identify with, right? Because that's the way we get to know people, and if I don't know you, how do I get to know you? I look at you and say, oh, we're similar. And it's just that. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow, Cleveland. Brooklyn just blew the game. Brooklyn
won?
Huh?
Cleveland won?
Not officially, but Donovan Mitchell got fouled. The score was 112-114. He hit the first, he missed the second, the ball gets patted around, and then Alex Okoro hits a wide open corner three to go up 2, and now there's 0.7 seconds left.
So I took Cleveland money line. So that's why
You're good. You're good.
I got him at plus odds.
Yeah, bro. Donovan Mitchell misses the free throw. He gets his rebound, tips it back in, misses that, gets the rebound again and tips it back in. And then the ball just goes out. And what's my man's name who used to play?
I got a hedge on my this game.
Oh, that's crazy.
I took the under in the first half of the Florida Atlantic Tennessee game. Right now it's at 60.5. The over-under was 59.5. I'm just trying to decide if I should go live on it. Fuck. I almost have no choice but to.
Okay, while you're thinking about going live on that, let's talk a little Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, he's done a little media. He's had there's been 2 articles that came out. Logan Murdoch of The Ringer, he did a big article that came out this week discussing Jaylen Brown. And then there was a New York Times article that came out on a few days like last week discussing Boston. And the 2 articles, what I pulled from both of them is Jaylen Brown does not rock with those racist fans in Boston. Not the whole city of Boston.
Yeah, no. Well, he was very discreet in the way that he's like, there's this few patches, like, basically.
And if you've heard anything about Boston, you know that it to be true. I've got a good friend who lives in Boston.
The most racist place I've been. I tell it every single time.
It's the most racist place you've been?
It's the most racist place I've ever been.
I believe it, man. And I'll tell a good Boston story, right? I got a friend. He's from right outside of Boston in Worcester. Great guy. And I won't call his name on here. But
Worcester?
Yeah, so we went out in Charlottesville one weekend.
Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yeah, we're out in Charlottesville.
That sounds so familiar.
With one of our friends who's a UVA alum, and we're at a couple bars, and it is what it is. We end up leaving a bar because of an almost altercation, and most of these bars are predominantly white.
Right.
We go to another bar. It's white downstairs, and it's black upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
It's niggas, wall to wall.
Just straight niggerdom.
And I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm like, oh shit, niggas. Ooh, I don't even know these niggas. I'm about to have the time of my life. So we mobbing around, we moving. Bro, we ain't been there 10 minutes. Hey, bro, I think we should go somewhere else. This place is kind of sketch. Looking around. All I see is college students. Like, I don't see
Charlottesville, though.
Huh?
This is in Charlottesville.
We're at a bar in Charlottesville. I'm 22, 23. And we know the difference between locals and college students. He just
Even
saw
in a college town.
Right. He just saw a room full of black people. Kind of sketch. Bro, it's not sketch at all. Ain't nothing sketch about this. We good. We're good. And I remember that. Then I've heard the stories about Boston. I mean, Bill Russell didn't want to go back. He didn't go back until forever. RIP to the legend. But yeah, he called out those people. And then in Logan Murdoch's article, he talked about, just some of the feelings. And when they could have traded him for KD, or when that rumor came out, they didn't defend him. It just sounds like he wants to be loved. And if I'm them, right, I'm like, hey, Jaylen, we're not going to trade you. You're good. Meanwhile, I'm still negotiating the trade because we can get him. Bye, Jaylen. And then once it's over, we come out. Hey, man, Jaylen's our guy. He's been our guy. We let him know that he's our guy. And I don't know where these rumors came from, but he's our guy. And the unfortunate part for Jaylen Brown
is laugh like fuck.
Huh?
So if I was him, I'd laugh like fuck.
Well, you know,
it's a business.
It's a business, but the problem is,
even Mikal Bridges like came out and was like, "I'd trade me for KD too." like even he kept it real with himself. Because think about them, they grew up. It's so weird what type of NBA we grow up in because KD's not like as old as LeBron. But the reality is that KD been in the league almost damn near as long as LeBron.
Right, class of 07.
That's what I'm saying.
Right,
So I know for somebody like that, it's like, bro, you grew up watching KD. Like Jaylen Brown grew up watching KD play. When KD played LeBron in the NBA, when the Thunder and the Heat played in the NBA Finals, I bet money that Jaylen Brown was still in high school. So like,
well, yeah, bro, I was barely out of. He's 20.
Bro, that was my freshman year. Well, sophomore year.
Yeah, going into your sophomore year.
Freshman year, we were in PSP, and that's when the Mavericks beat the Heat. And yeah, everybody knew I was a Kobe fan. Yeah, people think because you're a Kobe fan, you hate LeBron. Like you really don't. Like I don't hate LeBron, but like.
But you know the thing that makes a Jaylen Brown piece so interesting. He's a social justice type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Not a damn thing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
He's Atlanta area, went to Wheeler,
then
went to Berkeley, which makes absolutely no sense. But
yeah, because they suck so bad at basketball. But go ahead.
But it's one of the most liberal colleges in the country.
It's one of the best schools to go to. Yeah. UC Berkeley. That's like
and Berkeley probably will protest that California was named after somebody whose uncle was racist. Okay, like that's just how liberal they are out there. So you get that influence, and you go to conservative Boston, where I feel like no black person wants to get drafted.
Right.
And I didn't know this until I listened to Logan Murdoch and Bill Simmons talk about it. He was a rookie when the IT stuff happened. And should they have moved off of IT? Absolutely. But when you're in a quote unquote racist city and you have a franchise that treats you like a asset and not a player and a person, you can be like, hey, bro, y'all dangle me after I kind of was the best player on our team in the finals because Jason Tatum's asshole got a little too tight. I'm out of here. This year, he's averaging 27 a game.
When's his contract up?
Next year. At the end of next year. He has
after next season. So yeah, basically this summer is the
some of the movement
money or else.
I mean, but if he gets all NBA, Supermax.
He's not getting the all NBA this year though.
He can.
He can get third team.
And then they gotta pay him.
Because they're gonna have they might not even have the best record in the East.
No,
but they've been pretty much really the best team in the NBA all year.
But you got to think about it. LeBron, KD, and Kawhi, and now Paul George are not going to make All NBA.
But LeBron's going to make third team. Yeah, because I guess he goes now as a front court as opposed to back court.
He's
he really play the 2 or the 3 though. He's a tweener in a weird way. He kind of goes between both positions because realistically, their starting lineup has him as a 2 because Marcus Smart's the 1. That at least this is how they started. Is Smart, Brown, Tatum, Horford, Williams. When they're healthy, that is their starting 5.
But they're never healthy.
It used to be Theus or whatever. But like, this is my point. Like,
yeah, bro,
it's nasty work, man. It gets pretty nasty.
And if they don't want to pay him $60 million a year, you know he's walking. And I don't want to pay him $60 million a year.
But what do you? Because see, I feel like now he walked good. I'm sorry, Lee. If I'm paying attention too much to the screen, I am down to 2 things, and the first half of this game is one of them.
Oh, you're good because as soon as we close out this topic, I'm calling Julian Turner.
Yes, please do so. I'm sitting here right now and I'm trying to decide if I want to fucking hedge.
So while you think about hedging, I'll give you one question before I call Julian.
Go ahead, please.
Do you think Jaylen Brown is on the Celtics in 2 years?
No. And my easy answer to that too, just even before you get them, just because we're gonna close out this first hour, is because of two reasons. One, there's a need for a player like him in the league, and very rarely does essentially an all-star caliber. You want to know, Jaylen Brown as an all-star reminds me a lot of like Ray Allen as an all-star if he's like available, right? Like Ray Allen was never the best shooting guard in the league.
No, never.
Because he played in a league with Kobe, T-Mac, AI, and Vince Carter. Because them dudes, even though VC went by a small forward, but Vince Carter was he was a 6'6" small forward at that. Just like AI was, because he was a shooting guard. They listed him as a shooting guard. They did. He wasn't a point guard.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Eric Snow was the point guard.
Yeah.
But he would be listed as the 2.
Charge.
And so, are you watching the FAU game?
Yeah.
Good. See, I have the under in the first half. So
I mean,
I'm all about those type of calls. But
close it out.
No, but my point in saying that is this: a guy like him is needed. He's for all intents and purposes, a 3-and-D type of player that is not just that, because he can score and he can do much more.
He can be the best player on the floor on any given day. He's just not the best player.
For most teams. For I would say more than – man, let me tell you, if there was somebody that really wanted to make a move based on what I know, you want to know who should trade for him and just be like, man, look, we'll give you it straight up.
You know my trade.
Take a fucking get. I mean, we know the Hawks for us.
Trae Young, Jaylen Brown, straight up, and I'm throwing an extra one.
Throwing a Western Conference team that would really want him, that they could swap out somebody else and play him with someone else.
Dallas or Denver? The Warriors.
It has to be a comparable player.
You gonna say old ass Clay?
No, he's not comparable. Who's a comparable player?
I would say superstar Jamal Murray if I were you.
That's a comparable player?
You would probably say that because you think he's a superstar.
I don't think he's a superstar, but at the same time, I also don't think he's a comparable player.
I don't know. I've got nothing for you. Anthony Street Close Davis?
No, man. Paul George. I think that the Clippers, that shit, they're not winning no title, dog. So, like, I would – but you know what? That would be a comparable trade.
I'll move off Kawhi.
What?
I'm Jerry West. I'm moving off Kawhi.
You would move off Kawhi, but bro, who's been holding them together? Have you watched any of the? Look, your league pass.
No. I haven't. But no, Kawhi's been going crazy.
Like, who do you think is holding that team together?
I know Kawhi's been going crazy.
It's Kawhi, bro.
I know. Kawhi back. Kawhi back. That's just me hating. Thank you for calling me out on that. But hey, man,
I've been watching it. That's all I'm saying. I actually have been watching it.
You know what?
He got hurt again yesterday, apparently. I didn't watch that, but apparently he got hurt yesterday.
He's spraying out for the regular season. But hey, man,
they're cooked.
I'm a casual. The Clippers are cooked. And hey, man, we're done with hour one. A lot of basketball. We opened up with some women's basketball. Yeah, Women's History Month. Yeah. Real love. You know, little Mary J. Blige vibes. Then we talked a lot of Michael Jordan, a little bit of Luka, and then we closed out with Jaylen Brown on who's going to make the playoffs. Oh, well, excuse me, I'm reading the wrong thing. Jaylen Brown leaving the Celtics. All right, man, we're getting ready to start hour two, and we're going to come in strong with some with a little Mike Tomlin talk, because we have a friend, Julian Turner, who is not as big of a fan of Coach Mike Tomlin as we are, and we're not Steelers fans. So let me get him on the line. Now, the bad thing about this is Parlay Pete is, never mind. Julian Turner, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on, actually?
You are live on ACB and Parlay Pete podcast. And Parlay Pete is playing Black and Yellow in the background. I don't know if you can hear it.
I mean, I can hear it. I mean, it's a great song. It's unfortunate that Mike Tomlin and his Steelers couldn't do anything to represent the song better.
So Mike Tomlin has won a Super Bowl, been to 2, hasn't had a losing season, somehow pulled 9 and 8 out of his ass this year, and you're not satisfied. And you say Steelers Nation isn't satisfied.
Well, yes, Steelers Nation isn't satisfied. So we'll start by saying this. Much respect to Mike Tomlin for what he's accomplished. I mean, he's won a Super Bowl, been to 2. I mean, that's no small feat. All right, so we're really having a conversation about, where do we rank him as not just an elite coach, but a great coach. We talk about these Bill Belichick's of the world. Does he have what it takes to be there? So by no means are we having a conversation as if he's some scrub. What we're saying is that just like Aaron Rodgers, I mean, it's not enough to win individual stats. If you can't lead your team to get chips, then you've underperformed. And unfortunately, Mike Tomlin for a long time has underperformed. And for whatever reason, I think I know why the reason is. I mean, because he's one of very few black coaches, and they just have to kind of safeguard and hold it sacred. He has underperformed, and it's just as simple as that.
Yeah. Hey there, Jude. Parlay Pete here. Long-time listener, first-time talker tour. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, you're not hungover from Seattle, are you?
Yeah, I'm still, man.
All right, we should act together. Okay, we get that.
Yeah, it takes a minute to get readjusted. Your body gets reacclimated. But we've been drinking coconut water.
Well, there we go, and I think that and maybe a little bit of sea moss with some other stuff might always do the trick, according to what our people tell us. But nonetheless, what I will dive into, at least as you've kind of brought us into this segment of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and not even the Pittsburgh Steelers, more so Mike Tomlin. I guess we're just more curious as to why it is a guy like Coach T, as some like to call him, not Coach Tomlin, Coach Mike Tomlin. I don't know what.
I'm sorry. Hey, Lee, can you do me a favor and repeat what Pi is saying? I can barely hear him, but you're coming in louder.
Okay, let me see what I can do for that.
Apparently, I'm not very loud.
Does he sound better now? Can you hear him better, Mr. Turner?
Pi, say something.
Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, I can hear you better now.
Okay.
Right. Well, like I said, we didn't bring you here necessarily to sit up and talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers or anything, but what we did want to talk about was just your thoughts on the Steelers off season. What do you think about that?
The Steelers off season?
Yeah.
I want to hear talk about Coach Tomlin after this, though.
Okay. Real quick on the Steelers off season. I think that we have made some moves to show that we understand Kenny Pickett is a rookie and that we want to get him better line protection to actually evaluate his talent to see what he can do.
Okay.
So the signing from the Eagles and the signing from where was it else? The Eagles and
the Jets.
The Jets. Even though the guys come off an injury, I do at least love to see that we're trying to show that, hey, we're willing to spend some money to protect you. However, on the defensive side of the ball, it's the same old Steelers thing. Kicking around old tires. Trying to see how much tread is left on the. No offense to Patrick Peterson, but if you had to tell me, should we have rather try to go get Jalen Ramsey or Patrick Peterson? I mean, I would prefer Jalen Ramsey. We went and got some linebackers from Miami and from somewhere else. From where? And from the Commanders. There we go. And that's my dad. I have my dad next to me. So when we start talking about Tomlin, I'm actually going to pass on the phone so he can actually tell you a true long-time Pittsburgh native perspective on Tomlin. But we haven't been able to find a replacement for since Shazier. And that's what you see. That's why you see the constant change, the constant movement. Because
you guys have Miles Jack.
We haven't been able to replace him. I mean, yeah.
He's a solid linebacker. You just released him again. I thought he was a good player.
I think there's a difference between being a good player and being a Steeler, you know. And I think that we're trying our best to get back to the identity of what the Steelers are, you know, where people are, you know, may not necessarily fear the offense all the time, but the defense are like, damn, we have to play the Steelers. Right now, I feel like people circle the calendar and be like, you know what, we get to play the Steelers.
I still feel like that's one of you guys' strong suits as a team. I mean, TJ Watt, one of the best defensive players in the league. I think he led the league in sacks. If it wasn't this year, it was certainly 2 years ago. He led the league in sacks. And everything that I know about the Steelers' legacy, just from, you know, being a football fanatic myself, is that you guys build your teams through the draft. So I guess I was just curious as to what way do you mean build your team? Because it sounds like you want to sign a bunch of guys, but you guys typically draft them.
Yeah, so the history of the Steelers is we're a draft and homegrown type of team, but that's what got us success back in the 60s, 70s, you know, 80s. The league has changed now. This is a put up or shut up. Where I mean is you got to put your money up where your mouth is, you know. And so yes, you can draft a couple guys and have some homegrown talent, but when there's superstars available, Jalen Ramsey available, when there's quarterbacks, Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers, you know, when there's defensive players, who was the year before? This year before Deshaun Watson available, you know. We need to put we at least need to make, you know, put our hat, you know, put our bid in the hat and say, hey, we're at least willing to go get these guys. You know, we haven't had a major all-season signing, and I don't know how long. I mean, the most major one, you know, I guess we can count our safety.
I think the trade for Minka.
We can count Minka, you know, but I think Minka is overperforming. But and I think he's overperforming, and that's because of the lack of hope he has around the secondary.
Well, now you got Patrick Peterson. You know, you didn't want to give up.
You added a guy.
You didn't want to give up a 5th-round pick to go get Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, you know, we got Patrick Peterson now, but I mean, what is he going to give us? A year, maybe 2 of, you know, what
7 games if you're lucky. That man,
I was about to say he's been lucky the past couple of years to just give you a season and you'd be like, you know what, as CB2, this isn't that bad, I guess, considering who he was. But
see, the thing is with us right now, we're in the mode of we're still trying to patch up holes instead of just doing reconstruction and remodeling.
I mean, well, you have the ultimate winner coaching your team, you know, no losing seasons. That's why you're patching holes and you're not going to do a full rebuild, because he's not going to have a losing season, not Coach T.
I mean, but I think not making the playoffs is a losing season. That's my opinion.
I'm a Falcons fan, so you know, I would like to say that I agree with you in a vacuum, but we haven't made the playoffs since I don't know. Golly, college.
You know, it's almost like someone who lives in the suburbs versus living in a gated community. You know what I'm saying? In the suburbs, you're like, you know, yeah, we got a nice house here, but you know what? But sometimes, you know, we let things slide around here. But living in a gated community, you pay your HOA fee for a reason. No, we expect the streetlights to work. We expect the pool to be open. We expect the gate to work. We expect the gate to close behind us. You know, we expect certain things, you know, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have a standard. And for whatever reason, you know, maybe it's the new Rooney, you know, because the head guy died, you know, rest his soul. Maybe it's the son who's running the company. And maybe it's the GM. If you ask me, I think it's the head coach. But for whatever reason, we are starting to relax our standards as what it means to be us and not nobody else.
Can I talk a little bit about your GM though? I think what y'all did the last couple of years was absolutely terrible. The commitment to Big Ben when we knew he was cooked and not trying to get a new quarterback, and then allowing Kevin Colbert to draft last year, even though he did get GP.
We allowed a guy to draft a team
and leave after
on his way out the door.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Who does that?
It's a bit ridiculous. It's a bit ridiculous.
The Steelers are well run. They still went 9-8. So I mean,
well, maybe they trusted him enough to do it, and maybe he didn't do this.
I mean, but
didn't the Ravens do the same thing? Didn't Newsom do the last draft? He didn't.
He's still there. He's still in the building. Ozzie, he's
the
GM, but he's in the building.
Well, regardless of it working out, you know, we can say, oh well, hey, see, at least it worked out. See, I told you.
No, you went and took another job.
But clearly, we can say that's an emotional, personal relationship type of bias instead of making a business decision. You know, that's we can tell, hey, you guys must have been really cool. For him to be like, you know what, I'm gonna allow you to pick the team on the way out.
Right.
Well, Steelers they are a smaller market, so you know they have some mom and pop qualities, and that takes us to the coach. I mean, Chuck Noll. You know,
yeah.
What's my man's name on TV?
Bill Cowher.
Bill Cowher. Mike Tomlin. That's it. You know.
Oh yeah, we do have a sense of loyalty, you know, but you know we have a sense of loyalty when you've earned it. I can't tell you that a GM, you know, that, you know, I mean, you know, hey, he got us the talent. You know, I can't blame our GM who just left that he didn't get us talent initially with Le'Veon Bell, AB, you know, Ben and Boswell. You know, again, he has his share of the blame.
I mean, getting beat by Bill Belichick's not the worst thing in the world, is it? I mean, he's a GOAT.
It's not the worst thing in the world, but hey, that song is old. And if you can't play a better song, then I need a new DJ in here. I need a new producer.
Well, hey, and Hove did. Let's start there.
Hove did.
He did. He was the new aux for the NFL. So now, Mr. Turner, if we made you the new aux of the Pittsburgh Steelers, what would be your first move as of today, considering the cap reconstructions and who you could go get and everything? What type of splash would you make to make your team better for this upcoming season?
Hey, I want to hear from Pops, Mr. Turner. I don't want to hear from Julian. I want to hear from Pops. If he
all right. So let me. So I'm gonna just pass the phone to my dad. I want you guys to ask him the same question. Okay.
Okay.
I will do.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you doing, Mr. Turner? This is Pierce.
Hey, how y'all doing, gentlemen?
Doing
great. We're doing fantastic. We're doing fantastic. We're glad that you could join us for this episode today. I asked your son I think a relatively easy question, but basically the question would be, what should the Pittsburgh Steelers do today in order to make this team a playoff team for next season?
Well, I mean, I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh, number one. And I came up in the Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher area. And, you know, what I see now compared to back in the days, there's a lot of discipline back then that's not happening now. You know, Tomlin's a good coach, you know, in my perspective, but he's just not the Steelers coach anymore. I mean, because the reason why I say that is because Pittsburgh holds on to their coaches for years. I mean, we're talking longevity, 18, 19 years, till it comes a point in time where it's just time to move on because you're talking years and the game changed and the talents change when it comes to football. We all know that. You know, we ain't wearing no big shoulder pads no more. Some of them aren't even wearing knee pads and playing football.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, sure.
Yeah, so we got to look at it, what we're dealing with right now, you know, but going back to your question, you know, and tell me your question again one more time.
What would you do today that could change, you know, what's going on with the Steelers to where you guys could be a playoff team this upcoming season?
Well, number one, you got to go out and get the players because, like I said, football changed. The NFL changed. It's about now. It ain't about 5 years down the road. It's about now. It's all about now. With any team in football, it's about winning a chip now.
Right.
You know, we got the Eagles, we got, you know, the Chiefs and whatever. They can win the Super Bowl this year, and they can say, hey, the next 2-3 years, they okay. Even if they got to rebuild, as long as they won that chip. You understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but they'll bring in all the players that they need just to win that, because Tampa did that with Brady. Bring everybody in to load up. We bought veterans in on their last leg or whatever, sign a contract for 1 year, but we're going to build this team just to win this chip. And once we win it, it's okay. And that's what football is right now. It ain't about getting these college players and grooming them for 5-6 years. No. Any college player in their right mind, once you come out of college, I'm not coming to NFL to sit for 4 or 5 years. I'm a starter. I'm moving somebody out. That's just my perspective in it. I want to play right now. You ain't grooming me for 5 years. So I want to play right now. And that's what football is right now, how we living in real time. You see what's happening this year, teams are loading up. And the teams that's loading up is the teams that's contenders. They just one step away of winning it, or they already won it. And all they doing is just reloading. Pittsburgh's not reloading. What Pittsburgh doing, they're going out and getting talent that's been in the league for 10, 12 years. So they on their last, football hurrah before they actually retire. So they're going to try to get something out of them for a low cost. Yeah. That's okay. But don't bring in one, bring in plenty. If you're going to bring in one, bring 5, 6 of them dudes in there on their last leg. If they're going to give you your last hurrah, bring them all in there. At least you're going to win something and walk away and say, hey, we won one. I'm okay with that, because Pittsburgh, we ain't playing Steelers football. I know Steelers football. I know what it looks like, and what I see is not Pittsburgh's football. It's not. That's not Steelers football what we watching.
Well, and I totally understand. I think a lot of what it is, especially at least with what the Steelers are doing, I look at Kenny Pickett, obviously, you guys as quarterback, and that's typically, that's the face of all football teams for the most part, right? What's the quarterback situation looking like? You guys, much like which I'm sure Julian probably didn't tell you, but like we're almost a Atlanta Falcons based.
Yeah, he told me y'all from the ATL. So guess what? Y'all understand that even when when y'all went to that Super Bowl, there's no reason why y'all should have lost that Super Bowl. After that, y'all just totally collapsed. Y'all didn't bring no talent in. Y'all team got whitewashed. Everybody left. And then y'all stayed with that same quarterback, Manny Ice, whoever he is. Manny, he ain't ice. That dude's unfrozen. He's melted. that dude's he's melted away. And as far as I'm concerned, he was never that good. He just had Julio. He had talent around him that made him look that good.
I think that there are a lot of different people that would disagree, but this is what I will say, just in a sense of why I even brought it up. I brought it up because you guys, just like the Falcons, had a quarterback for a long time, had been there, and now this would be the kind of the rebuild period for the Steelers. I am not sure if Kenny Pickett is the guy, but certainly there are – the defense to me isn't the issue there. Like, I don't think that's the issue. Offensively, could he have more weapons? You guys deserve more weapons. But if we look at the team in totality, I guess the question is does Mike Tomlin, is he holding this team back? Is he holding it hostage?
Well, no, it's not that Tomlin's holding the team back. But going back to Pickett, Pickett, I'm gonna tell you something. Pickett to me is like Joe Burrow. Pickett, if you put weapons behind him and put a team behind him, I guarantee you're gonna get something out of Kenny Pickett.
You might have our first hot take of the year.
No, seriously though.
Season.
He's like Joe Burrow. If you put some weapons behind him, Pickett could throw that football. Pickett could run. The only thing that's wrong with that is our offensive coordinator last year, Matt Canada. I don't know what he say it again.
Terrible.
Matt Canada blows. I mean, I'm with you.
He needs to go back to Canada. Matt needs to go back to Canada.
Wasn't Matt Canada at LSU at one point too?
Who cares? He's not good in the NFL.
But he was horrible. And what they didn't do is they didn't put everything around Pickett to make Pickett become that quarterback that he can be and he should be, because he's just like Joe Burrow. Know what the Bengals did? The Bengals put weapons behind Joe Burrow.
Well, y'all got George Pickens.
Yeah, that's
George
what.
Pickens
But Pickens, but we don't have weapons like the Bengals do. No, Bengals got 3 receivers that's true receivers. We don't have that.
So you don't like Deontay Johnson?
No, Johnson. You know something? I'm gonna be honest with you with Johnson. Johnson drops a lot of balls. Another thing about Johnson, he's scared of that slant. When he run that slant, he drops that ball because he think that linebacker gonna light him up.
This ain't 1985. They can't hit him no more. What's wrong with him?
Well, what I'm saying, he's still scared because he think he's going to get hit. But Johnson, Johnson's our number 1 receiver.
When he runs across the middle, he imagines himself as AB and Vontae Burfict coming to that.
Look, AB was the best thing for as running that slant. When AB ran and caught that slant across the middle, AB was gone.
Many would argue that AB's the best.
AB was the best receiver on Tampa Bay when he was there.
Look,
we could have differing opinions, but I think many people would say that AB, you could argue certainly on paper, even at the bare minimum, he's the best receiver of the past decade. I mean, Julio is about the only other person that you would even put in the argument, but statistically, yards and touchdowns and receptions, AB, who was better than AB?
Hey, 1 second. 1 second, Mr. Turner.
Go back in this.
I just need 1 second, Mr. Turner.
AB was the nicest receiver Pittsburgh had.
Oh, I mean, nicest. He was the nicest receiver in the league at his peak. I love Julio.
Right. Yes,
I love Julio, but Julio did not score touchdowns. He got yards. He got receptions. AB, yards, receptions, touchdowns. You want to cross the middle? I go cross the middle. I go deep.
Right.
I can catch the fade in the back of the end zone in the red zone.
Yeah, he did more. I can
run back punts. And I can put that shit
on.
He
bailed Ben.
He did more.
He bailed Ben out a lot of times.
Well,
thank you.
A whole bunch of times.
He got Ben that last contract.
I'm glad that Mr. Turner is bringing this up as well because this is my point even for Julian. When it comes to the Julio thing, it's just like I think that AB had to do more.
Yeah.
You talking about Julio?
He had a better run game. I think AB as a receiver, he had to do more.
Yeah, he had to do more. He had to do more because he was the main weapon for us as a receiver.
Yeah.
He had to do more.
Hey,
but AB was a bad boy when he was in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. Another question for you, Mr. Turner. And you talked about the team loading up like the contenders are doing. Would you say that the Rooney family is cheap?
Say that again.
Would you say that the Rooney family is cheap?
Look, I'm gonna tell you something. It ain't just the Rooney family's cheap. The whole Pittsburgh sports in the whole is cheap. They do not go out and get players, marquee players. They do not put money on players and bring marquee players in. They try to groom. They get players through the draft and they try to groom them into something. They're not going to go out and get a household name that everybody's looking at and try to build something off of that. They're not going to do that. The best thing we got, I guess, this year as a corner that I could say just by name is my man. They picked up from the Vikings.
Yeah, Patrick Peterson.
Patrick Peterson. Know why I can say that? Because of his name. Peterson's up there, and as NFL seasons, he's up there. But guess what? It's Patrick Peterson, so I got hope. I got hope with that.
And you know, it's funny that you bring that up too, Mr. Turner. I looked at it this way because when you just said it in terms of the city itself and you being from there, even if you're not a follower of like the Pittsburgh Penguins or the Pittsburgh Pirates, one of the things that I've actually noticed too, though, is that both of those sports teams in Pittsburgh do not typically sign big stars. I know that Barry Bonds obviously went to the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was good there for a number of years.
We had them all.
Yeah. Barry Bonds.
And McCutcheon.
And McCutcheon left because they didn't want to pay him.
Yeah, I know. That was why I brought it up. And even with the Pittsburgh Penguins, I mean, they've won a Stanley Cup. I know with maybe you're not as big a hockey guy, but like Sidney Crosby, he's a big deal.
Yeah, they had Lemieux and Crosby.
Well, they had Lemieux.
But these were drafted guys. My point is that these are all drafted dudes. Like I'm bringing up, like, you know what? Honestly, when I hear about free agent signings in any sport, you don't really hear about Pittsburgh ever signing anyone. Now, the Steelers obviously having the biggest light shined on them, but, you know.
What are you going to say now, Mr.
Because they don't do it. That's why. They don't go out and get a marquee player at his prime. That's what I'm saying. They don't want to spend that money. No, they pay the most money to a Pittsburgh Steelers football, Ben. Ben got over $200-something million, and when Le'Veon Bell, they didn't want to pay him. That was Bell's money that they gave to Ben.
Yeah.
They should have paid Bell back then, but Ben got that money. He was the highest paid Steeler ever. $200-something million, and they held on to Ben for all those years.
Well, you know,
but
Ben
Pittsburgh, throughout sports franchises, they do not put out money and bring in franchises. People that we want to see that's out there on the market, they're not going to do it. They just don't do it. So for some reason, the Rooneys just don't do it.
So one last question for you, Mr. Turner. If I'm a free agent and I'm picking between cities, you know, we talk about these big markets, but all of us who've traveled know that you can have the same kind of fun in any kind of city. You can be in the burbs, you can be in a small market, large market, big city, small city. It's a 9 in every city. And if your mouthpiece right, if your money's right, you can find them. What is there to do in Pittsburgh that would make me want to relocate there to play for the Steelers?
Make you want to relocate there?
Yeah, if the Steelers offer me a contract,
what makes me other than football? Other than football.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh has a lot to do for us community-wise. There's a lot of our culture in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
There's a lot of things, culture that comes out of Pittsburgh that's directed towards us that we know about it, and something. It's not like the ATL. So the ATL is big on culture. The ATL has something going on every single day in the ATL that you can get into, that they have something that may interest you. Pittsburgh has something where sports, medical, but they also have functions as far as the community things that you can go to. You just got to go there and you got to see it for yourself, because Pittsburgh's a city that is known for sports. To tell the truth, they're known for sports. And then, you know, back in the days, we talking about steel mills and all that good stuff.
Oh,
they're well known for sports. Remember, because Pittsburgh was at one time the city of champions. All three of our teams won that whole year. Remember, the Pirates,
I don't,
and the Steelers. They all won a championship that whole year. Y'all don't remember that?
Ooh,
I don't remember personally, but I believe that.
What I'm doing, I'm relating y'all, because all three franchises won their championship in 1 year, and Pittsburgh was the city of champions. The city of champions.
Hey, Lee, can I spitball some questions of my dad real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Dad, do you think it's time for Tomlin to go?
Look, we can have a conversation about Tomlin. I'm going to say this right now about Tomlin. Tomlin is not Pittsburgh's coach anymore to me. What I see it is he's been there long enough, and his time in Pittsburgh is over. Tomlin's a good coach. He can go somewhere else and coach, but he's not Pittsburgh's coach no more. And that's it.
Is 8-8 the standard for football?
8-8 is not the standard for Pittsburgh football.
You guys haven't gone 8. You went 9-8 this past. You had a winning record.
Look, there you go. See, you're saying just like everybody else.
No. No, I'm not. But I'm not here to sound like everybody else. I'm just saying you guys went 9-8 with a rookie quarterback, and I don't think that I didn't think y'all would win 9 games.
So tell me this. Both of y'all from the ATL, I believe this, right? Right? Yep.
That's correct.
Are y'all happy with the Falcons?
God, no. I'm mad. I'm giving them money.
No, I'm not happy because I don't like losing football, but I can say that at least with what we've had, I've seen the progress.
So the same question is, you're not happy with the Falcons. Know why you're not happy with the Falcons? Because they're not winning. Pittsburgh's not winning. 8-8 of 500 in NFL football is not a winning season. You play football to win the Lombardi Trophy. They don't care about 500 in the NFL. They look at the team that raised that trophy. Who you think they talking about this year? The Chiefs or the Steelers?
The Chiefs, for sure. I mean, we want to watch Patrick Mahomes, not Kenny Pickett.
Thank you. They're not talking about Pittsburgh. They're talking about Kansas City because they won the trophy. If the Falcons would have won this year, guess what? They'd have been talking about the ATL.
No, these are big facts.
They would have been talking about the ATL.
And last question, Dad. Why do you think that Tomlin doesn't receive the criticism that we give him? Why do you think the mainstream media doesn't do it?
The mainstream media don't want to ruffle feathers with Tomlin because Tomlin's a black coach, number one. And no one want to play that race card. You know how it is. We all black. So no one want to get into that topic because it gets messy. He's a black coach and they don't want to ruffle those feathers. So what happened is with Tomlin, it's easy to say, quote unquote, I'm saying that, when you hear it on TV with these sports people talking, and you got to understand who's talking. When they say Tomlin is 500. You know what they say? Players like to play for Tomlin. They like to play for Tomlin because Tomlin's a nice guy. We know cold words, brother. Tomlin's a good guy.
Mr. Turner, they're saying they want to play for Tomlin because he's a nigga.
No, not just that. They gonna play for Tomlin because Tomlin, they know they can go in there and do what they want with Tomlin. Because know why they saying that? Because in reality, there's no discipline. Tomlin don't have no discipline with those players.
He's a player's coach.
He's a player's coach. That's why they love playing for him, so they can go in there and say, "Hey, our coach is just like us." So I could come in here and I could give my coach some dap. I could have my chains out in the football game. I can do basically what I want to do. Well, I can bring a helicopter and land it on this field.
You want to know what it is, and I'll play devil's advocate, but also be 100% realistic about it too. This is how I look at it. He hasn't won a Super Bowl since 2008. His job definitely should have been his job should definitely have been in question multiple times since then, because we've seen plenty of Super Bowl coaches get fired more than 1 or 2 or 3 years after they won a Super Bowl. So I'm with you on that. But I had to go through his numbers before I could even speak on this. So
that's right.
Of his, let's see, I think it was 16 years as you guys as head coach. I think it's 16. Yeah, 16 years. Now, he's never had a losing season. So 10 out of his 16 years, 10 out of his 16 years, he's won 10-plus games. Out of the 16, he's won 10-plus. Now, so that would mean that those other 6, because he hasn't had a losing record, they either went 8-8, 9-7, or in the case of this past year, 9-8, which because now you can no longer go under 500. You're either over or under it now because there's 17 games. But my point is that I'm with you guys in terms of questioning. The man kind of already had a ready-made team and won a Super Bowl. And he did it in his second year, and that was in 2008. And we're talking about his 2023, and he doesn't He's got, let's see. Well, he went to another Super Bowl in 2010.
Lost, right. And
they lost to the Packers. They did go. He's been to 2 AFC championships since then, 2014, 2016. But essentially, he hasn't won a playoff game since 2016.
And that's what I was ready to ask you right there. When was the last time Tomlin won a playoff game?
2016. Actually, it's funny. Your son was going to one of those games, and I was headed to another. As that was happening, he was in Pittsburgh going to the game, and I was leaving Philly
to the Jags game. I was there. So then,
hey, that was a great day. That was a great day because when we lost to Philly, I was in PB in San Diego at El Pres, the bar that Josh Holsey regularly gets kicked out of, not because he's a lib, because he's by 4 p.m.
Josh Holsey, yeah,
he's hot dogging it.
Yeah,
and I ended up going to Urban Outfitters because I didn't want to walk around with my Falcons jersey for the rest of the night and get shamed because we lost. And I ended up getting this Britney Spears hoodie for like $40, and it's been an instant classic. Sorry, guys. Back to your football talk.
But the question I ask you guys is, now that we've said out loud that we know why Tomlin doesn't receive criticism because he's one of few black coaches, to stay there. But I ask you, what other coach, white coach, black coach, who has not won a playoff game since 2016 can sit in front of the camera with confidence and feel like his job is secure?
That's right. Because think about this, fellas. Say if he was on Dallas with Jerry Jones. Do you think Tomlin would still be in Dallas?
His ass would have been out of there.
Well, no, because Jerry Jones would never hire Tomlin.
I'm gonna give you.
Let's say if he did. No, let's say if he did. Now let's look. Let's say if he did.
Mike McCarthy is Mike Tomlin.
Let's say if he did, because this is what Dallas do. Going back to our question, Dallas loads up every year, don't they? He goes out and spends so much money for a team that he put on the field that really should win. They should really win. So he brings Tomlin in. He brings Tomlin in because he say, look, I'm going to bring in Mike Tomlin because I think Mike Tomlin get me over the hump. So all these years go by. He gives Tomlin, I guarantee you, he'll give Tomlin no more than 3 years.
For what it's
3 years, he'll be out of there.
And I'm not trying to put a dent into you guys' argument, but for what it's worth, now the Cowboys are looked at too as, in my opinion, they're like, and even though they're really not them because they don't win enough now, but like they're kind of at brand wise, they're the Lakers. They're like the Lakers of the NFL.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say? Yeah. That they're the Lakers? They're like the Lakers of the NFL.
Steelers are the Celtics.
Right. I look at the Steelers more than the Celtics.
The Celtics are Boston, one of the two. Whatever great you want.
Well, I'm just saying, even the way the teams are built, Dallas is they will go out and get a shiny toy or trade up and draft one or whatever.
Yeah.
They'll do that. That's just not Pittsburgh style. Like, I mean,
but they'll never win to me. I'm not a Dallas fan. To me, they will never win. I don't see them winning those Super Bowls.
Hell, they haven't. Shit, they haven't.
That's who they are. I mean, that's who they are.
But the point is, if Jerry Jones will go out and spend money, right? But Jerry Jones also has an expectation for his head coaches. Hey, I'm bringing in a talent, and you guys got 2 to 3 years to show me what you got. And if not, on to the next man.
That's right.
And what we're saying is that if Tomlin went to any other franchise besides the Steelers, his ass would have been fired a long time ago.
But I was,
and that's not a knock on him. It's a knock on productivity because we already know what have you done for me lately. You can't hang your hat on what we did in 2008. You can't hang your hat on to the fact that you went to the Super Bowl and lost 2010. We have not won a damn playoff game since 2016. Like people think we're just talking shit when we say that. What coach who has not won a playoff game in 7 years now has their job still? None.
You're absolutely right. And honestly, obviously Bill Belichick has. I can't think of many that have been coaches in the last and Andy Reid. I'm trying to think of coaches that have even been coaching for 7 years, like that have had one job.
Philly ultimately fired Andy Reid when they were like, "Hey, man,
but you know,
you're doing great."
No, he's right. Just in a sense of if we look at the NFL, how many coaches have been coaching at their same job for the last 7 years? It would only be Bill Belichick and Andy Reid. I can't think of anyone else.
And never being honest about it, right? We talk about the question, guys.
I said Peyton.
The question you guys always ask me is, okay, if not Mike Tomlin, who else? So now I kick this back to you, Andy Reid. Andy Reid was the creme de la creme at the Eagles, and they thought they could do no much better. But at some point, they realized, hey, listen, we got to take a chance on somebody else. Even if we have dark days, we can say we at least tried.
And they won one.
They had dark days. They got rid of Andy Reid, and then guess what happened? They won a Super Bowl.
Those dark days were a lot different, and I'll say this because they never won one. Like you guys had won one. Like the Eagles as a franchise had never won. But I'm just saying, no, you just really have to sit back and really look at it this way. They had, first of all, the Eagles as a franchise had never won. But then, two, he had never won. You guys as a franchise had won one. And I'm not saying Mike Tomlin was a coach in waiting because he was not on that Steelers. I know he came from, like, Minnesota, right? So, like, he wasn't like this coach in waiting or anything.
Secondary coach. He was a secondary coach. He got brought up.
He got brought up. He came from Tampa. He was a defensive coach.
He was with
he's on Gruden's staff with McVay. Like
he was on Gruden's staff too.
But again, okay. So but the question was, you guys always ask me, if not Tomlin, not who else?
Hey,
and I throw out black coaches all the time. The point is, we can't be afraid to imagine a life past Tomlin to where it's like, you know what, something's got to give, because you know the Eagles did it. And Kansas City did it, because guess what? Kansas City, even Alex Smith was winning games. Kansas City was in the playoffs down there every year, or are real contenders to at least make the playoffs every year. And the Eagles moved on, won a Super Bowl, fired their coach, went to the Super Bowl again. They got Andy Reid in Kansas City and with Patrick Mahomes, and it's been a match made in heaven ever since. So the Steelers should be afraid.
I don't want to say Parlay Pete. Let me get something in. Turnerman, I will tell y'all that y'all have convinced me that if the Steelers fire Mike Tomlin, they're not making a mistake. That's so. That's so.
When you say Tomlin like this, let me say this: the Rooneys. Now, just let's remember now. The Rooneys is the one that brought the ruling with the coaches, the black coaches.
Yes.
The Rooneys started that. They hired Mike Tomlin. So guess what? They're faithful to Mike Tomlin. They're not going to let Mike Tomlin go because they started something in the NFL that kick-started bringing these black coaches in. Number one.
That
was number one with that. They did that. The Rooneys did that. So they're faithful to Tomlin. Because, you know, but it's going to run out. But what I'm saying to y'all is, Tomlin is a good coach. I don't have nothing against Tomlin for his coaching. There's some things that I would like to see him do, like put a playbook in his hand.
Put a playbook in his hand.
I mean, like making better decisions and act like he's in the game sometimes. Sometimes it seems that he's not. He's like a fan. Tomlin is a good coach. He can go somewhere else and coach a team and probably do better off than what he's doing in Pittsburgh. But right now, he's not Pittsburgh's coach anymore. That's all I'm saying. He's not.
Hey, I think that's a great way to close it out. I've got nothing else to kick back. Thank you so much, Mr. Turner and Mr. Turner. We really appreciate you all contributing to the show to talk to Mike Tomlin and really give us some insight as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan from Pittsburgh and a Pittsburgh Steelers fan who was raised by a Steelers fan from Pittsburgh. Man, we really appreciated that so much because.
Well, I'm gonna say this too, brother, and you're doing this podcast right now.
Yes, sir.
I got other Pittsburgh brothers that they was come in and chime in on your prompt. You give us the time, we'll come in and we'll talk, and we can sit down and have a nice conversation and talk about Pittsburgh Steelers football if you really, really want to know.
And you know what? We can definitely do that, especially now that it's the off season and we got some time for just some just going down rabbit holes. We'll talk with Julian about setting that up. And I got a Pittsburgh Steelers friend, Pittsburgh Steelers fan as a friend, and he would love to come in and chop it up, and we can get just Pittsburgh Steelers. We can go all Pittsburgh Steelers for one podcast. We can definitely do that.
And get the perspective on everybody's opinion, and then guess what? Once you get everybody's perspective about Steelers football and Steelers fans, I guarantee you, it's just going to come to one common denominator, and I guarantee you, we all going to say the same thing on the end state. It's going to be the same thing, and you're going to get the picture.
Hey, we're going to set that up. Hey, Julian, we'll talk about this in the group a little bit later, okay?
Hey, appreciate you guys. Love you, boys.
I love you, guys. Thanks so much.
It's good to have you guys on. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What a segment.
Certainly, we got to hear. If you weren't educated on the Pittsburgh Steelers and their internal fan base issues, you got to get a perspective out of that. That's for sure. That's why I had to kind of do the lookup number, and I think that from the Super Bowl perspective, for sure, I could totally understand how. Well, you haven't won a title since 2008.
When you should have been competing.
About 15. That's about 15 years. Now, granted, that was year 2 of him, and you haven't won a playoff game since 2016. I mean,
you at a time where you had arguably the best receiver, best running back, and a top 5 quarterback in the league.
That era of 2014 to 17 was their time. They definitely, but that's their last playoff win. Well, when they lost to the Jaguars. But
you know what? That was also the resurgence of Brady and Belichick. That's when they got hot again. And I know they got beat by the Jags.
I meant actually, that 16 year, the year we played the Falcons played the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Because I remember it very well because I made a bet with both of them.
It's only Falcons Steelers.
Yeah, I bet a grand against Jew, and then I bet a grand against JP. And I mean, the Falcons hadn't even won. We hadn't even beat Green Bay yet. It was the day before. We were all hanging out, and I told them because I know Jew's a fan of that. And then JP was just so convinced. He's just well, if he's going to take that, then I'll take the Patriots, which is funny because we didn't even talk about maybe making a Falcons-Packers bet, which maybe we should have, but we didn't. And so, obviously, it ended up being the Pats, and that's what ended up happening. But my point in even bringing that up is just the fact of that's how long ago it was the last time the Steelers had even won a playoff game. That was right after college. So, I mean, it's definitely been a hot minute. I don't doubt that. I just guess it's not even the whole argument of, well, who do you hire if you fire? I don't even think it's that. I think it's just more of a how sought after not only will our candidate be, but in reality, what direction are we going in with the hire to make this better? Because it's his fault. I
think it's kind of like what Philly had to do and what Seattle was probably looking at doing, but they end up moving Russell, is just get a new voice in the building. Just get the new voice in the building. But I will say this, and this is not a knock, and we definitely need to set up this Pittsburgh Steelers pod. I think that'd be a fun off-season podcast to do, right? But just think of how entitled they are as fans, and because they have titles, they get to be entitled. But imagine us going from 16 years without one losing season, one Super Bowl. I'm not saying we wouldn't want more. We damn sure wouldn't be calling for a coach's job. And when Julian talks about the difference in a Falcons fan and a Steelers fan, I kind of get it, because our standard isn't excellence. We just want relevance, and we want to be above average.
Yes, and I brought up our statistics on that, which is why to me this season is so important. I guess because growing up a Falcons fan, I'm like, man, we do typically make the playoffs every now and then.
Yeah, every now and then.
We're in that territory of, oh no, you guys are in purgatory. And that's kind of how I was feeling. It was one of those things. So I had to go back and look at it. There hasn't been a 4-year stretch where we hadn't made the playoffs until now since the 82 to 91 stretch. Between 1982 and 1991 was the last time the Falcons had missed the playoffs over a 4-year span. It's been 5 now, and this upcoming year will make 6 if we don't make it. So I think that it's like little shit like that bothers me, because even I looked at it, I was like, okay, they made it in 92. Then they made it in 95. Then they made it in 98.
We are all here to do what Falcons do. Look at that.
Made it in 02, made it in 04, made it in 08. Then, of course, we had the run with Matt. And then even once the Matt pause came in basically 2013, we made it again in 2016, then made it again in 2017, and then you haven't made it since. And it's just kind of like, God, lead. Like, I don't know, man. Can we do something about this? Or
you know, I'm just happy I'm locked in at my ticket price before the offseason actually kicks off.
What, do you think we're going to get Lamar Jackson somehow, somewhere?
I sure hope so. And some of the stuff that I've heard about the Lamar Jackson piece, and we can kind of pivot there, is that a lot of teams have not wanted to talk to Lamar because they did not want to negotiate a deal for the Ravens to then just match it and then they get their guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I totally understand why they wouldn't make an offer. And this is where not having a big agent an agent from a big agency hurts Lamar, is because they could negotiate contracts off the record while negotiating a contract on the record for someone else, you know?
Right.
A team could say, hey, we'll offer Lamar this right here, you know, but say it in passing, or, hey, we've got this much and guarantees that we're willing to let go. And let them read in between the lines. So yes, I still hope we get Lamar, and I'm somewhat optimistic about it. The Colts have emerged as a team who's interested in Lamar, but also hold on, let me just close out Lamar and I'll let you go. And a unregistered agent with the NFLPA has informed teams that Lamar Jackson is fed up with the Baltimore Ravens. And I will tell you, that is some smear campaign bullshit. I listened to Colin Cowherd.
He called cap on that, by the way. But go ahead.
Oh, Lamar called cap on it? Even better, because I listened to Cowherd today try to compare Lamar to Kawhi Leonard and say that they don't trust anybody, they don't trust organizations, and they're not they're not verbal. And I go, here's the thing.
The white guy that does media.
It does. It's, hey.
What do you mean they don't trust anybody?
Because they don't speak to you. Because they don't use the agents that y'all say that they should use, because they go, hey, dog, I'm him. So pay me what the market bears, and I can break off my family instead of breaking off this random ass person who don't give a fuck about me, because once I get bad, he don't want to represent me no more anyways. And because I'm not talking to the media because y'all gonna say what y'all say, I'm keeping my stuff in tight. That doesn't mean that I'm not verbal. Because if you listen to Kawhi's teammates, now Kawhi, he cool, he just don't fuck with y'all. Have we heard a teammate come out and say anything bad about Lamar? You know, we talked about the Pittsburgh thing. The Pittsburgh O-line turned their back on Le'Veon Bell when he was trying to negotiate his contract. And it is what it is, right? But you've only heard good things about Lamar from his teammates and even former teammates. Like
prior to him getting to the league, even when he was at Louisville. I mean,
nothing but good stuff. And even Hollywood Brown, who was there with him, was just like, hey, man, pay that man. Like, you know what I mean? And talking about the different things that the organization does. And then you hear, well, the Baltimore Ravens are one of the best ran organizations in the league. Yeah, they're a well-ran franchise, but they care about the franchise more than they care about the players, which is fine. But if you are a star player and you want to be treated like a star player and not treated like just a member of the team, it's not gonna mix and match. And when a guy in your division gets 230 guaranteed all the way, who is not an MVP and has some nasty stuff hovering above his head, and I got none of that. And you say, "Oh, well, I was hurt." And then the media is spinning this. Oh, well, Lamar had to finish the last 2 seasons. The team said he would be back, and then he wasn't back. Well, if you know anything about anything, and this again the difference between a media person talking or somebody who worked in the front office and then went and then is now in the media.
New, yeah.
The people who worked in the front office say, "Yeah, if I'm Lamar, I don't play either. I'm not going to go out here. You don't want to pay me yet. You don't want to give me my money. I'm not going to go out here and get hurt for you." IT, we talked about him earlier in the Jaylen Brown segment. IT went out there and put his body on the line for the Boston Celtics, and they moved him in his contract year. They didn't pay him because they knew he was done. They saw his medicals. Right. So why would Lamar damage his opportunity to get paid for a team that wasn't going to win a Super Bowl anyways, and he knew that. And guess what? Guess what? Dame Lillard talked about this, and y'all don't want to believe it. If I don't win a ring, yeah, it's gonna hurt. But I know I played the game. I got the most out of my talent that I could, and I played the game the right way. I know people who have won Super Bowl rings. Excuse me. I know a person who's won a Super Bowl ring. I know of people who have won Super Bowls, right? And they're not on TV. They're living a life like they're living a blue collar life. But there's other, but like Lamar Jackson makes that generational wealth.
He makes it regardless, really, of what deal he signs. As crazy as it sounds, like
but the point of making
deal, he still makes generational wealth.
I can't take my Super Bowl ring to a realtor and buy a house. Maybe one time. I can't do it a second time. I'd rather be Chris Carter, who is a Hall of Famer who got paid that didn't win a ring, than be somebody who was the 53rd man on the roster for the Patriots and won 3 rings, but
no,
it hurts.
But I get that, but he's not in that 53rd man's.
No.
I mean, so it's, to me at least, that's irrelevant to bring up in regards to him. I get
the money's the most important thing.
I get it, but like this, all I'm saying is this.
Okay.
In his perspective, for him to think that just because the last guy, and technically, if you want to even be technical, from a negotiation standpoint, that is not the last quarterback deal that got signed by a starting quarterback. So, right, Russ, right. Those deals came after that, and I don't think. We all knew that that was a poison pill. It's so crazy because that's that, and I always remember that deal because that was the difference between Deshaun Watson being our quarterback and being the Browns quarterback. I think he absolutely was coming here, and that was where it was trending. And they were like, "Well, we'll guarantee your whole contract," and they were like, "Yeah, let's get something that's never happened before." I was already going to be annually the top paid guy, but now you're telling me no matter what I'm the top paid guy, it don't matter what I could go out there and break my fucking ankle and never be able to play again. I'm going to recoup the whole amount. Yes, sir. Let's do it.
And the thing is, and it was so strategic. The Ravens owner Dave Bisciotti came out and said, or Steve Bisciotti, said. He pretty much went in on the Browns for doing that. To let you know, Lamar, we're not paying you. And that's why the shit went sour. He's like, hold on, so he can get this? I can't get this? Bro, fuck y'all.
Yeah.
And you can't be mad at Lamar for saying that, even if you also can agree that, bro, a poorly ran franchise made a bad decision. And the quarterbacks after you who did get paid, they went back to the status quo, not the outlier.
Yeah.
You can't be mad at somebody for saying that, but you also can't be mad at him for saying, well, I'm an outlier more than he's an outlier, so I should get this outlier contract. I mean, Kyler Murray, look at him. He's little. He stays hurt. He doesn't study.
Why he got paid that amount.
His teammates don't like him. Russ, yeah, he won a Super Bowl, but he's not an MVP. And look at him now; he's trash.
Even more of a reason, but that point out reason why they don't want to pay him because of both of those guys.
Yeah, I mean,
like, well, we haven't won a Super Bowl with you. Russ did win one in his first contract. Kyler, we don't have nothing for that because you're better than him. They just are stupid. Like,
and that's the key to the negotiation, right? Like, each side has a legitimate case for what they're saying. But let's push another black quarterback in the news, Cam Newton. I'm back.
Did you listen to his video out of curiosity, his hype video?
The 32, these 32 MFers or bums or what did he call them? Yeah, you know what? I'm not sure if there's 32 people playing quarterback better than Cam Newton, but I do think. Hold on, let me finish. But I do think there are 32 people that teams have have more hope in what they can be and what they are than Cam Newton.
Okay.
Like, do I think Cam Newton is better than Desmond Ridder? Yes. But do I think the Falcons know what the ceiling of Cam Newton is versus what the ceiling of Desmond Ridder is? They see that Cam Newton ceiling. They don't know what that Desmond Ridder ceiling is. So they'd rather take that gamble on Desmond Ridder, who is cheaper, who we don't really care what he has to say. Whereas Cam Newton is an icon. He's a personality. Like they say, we don't know if Cam can be a backup because he's the league MVP. He's this, he's that. And my response is, well, that shouldn't matter. Like, you should be able to manage your roster and your team, but nonetheless, the NFL is ran by a bunch of conservative white guys who struggle with outlandish, not even out with big black personalities when they're not at the top of their talent. You know what I mean?
Understood. I understand where you're coming from.
I mean, bro, I know you hoop with some guys who may have got kicked off the team, but they were good enough to they should have been on the team, or they didn't make the team because of some extra shit that had nothing to do with on the court, on the field type stuff, right?
Yeah, so it had everything to do with everything else.
And I think that's where Cam is at. And do I think it's fair? No, but I also understand that life isn't fair, and it's never going to be fair, and it probably shouldn't be fair. If I don't want to pay you for whatever reason I choose to not want to pay you for, more times than not, I can do that.
And that's just the truth of anyone that runs a business, which I know it's hard for everybody to look at it that way, but the NFL is still a business. But there's two different ways I look at the Cam thing. I look at it as one, similar to kind of how I look at Matt Ryan too, to a degree. I don't think that these guys want to be backups. So I think that's a big part of why Cam probably hasn't been signed to a degree. And maybe he won't even talk to anyone because I don't think that Cam is set to sit up for 16 weeks and go to a healthy championship organization and he be the backup. We know that he's a better quarterback than whoever the Rams had before they had to go and get Baker Mayfield. Like, he was better than that brother, bro. Like, he's better than him. We know that. Like he's better than him. So
he's better than Tyrod Taylor.
Yes. And so
Hey, you know Tyrod Taylor's in a relationship with Drea?
Huh?
You know Tyrod Taylor's in a relationship with Drea?
No, he isn't. Stop on.
That was told to me 2 days ago.
So this is what backup quarterbacks are getting these days. Boy, I tell you, I gotta switch my profession. But
Hold it.
I am about to get screwed to March Madness is starting to. That's all out on Florida Atlantic. I took your boys. I took the Vols on the spread, and right now that was like, I think I had told you I only needed two things.
Yeah, you're not getting those two things.
Yep, because this is one of them, and they're down 4 now, but they were up 5 at the half.
I really wish I had a drop for Amory. Is this one thing that got me tripping?
Oh, if he made that 3, bro, it was over.
Another question for you. We talked about Cam.
Oh, it's over, bro. Florida's done. I mean, Tennessee's cooked.
We talked about Florida. Not Florida. We talked about the Panthers and Cam. The Panthers apparently sent 14 people to CJ Stroud's pro day, and he's now the odds-on favorite to be the first overall pick. Do you think that was a smoke screen, or no? We moved up to get the first pick, and we're gonna go see CJ. We're gonna go see Bryce. And we're going to make a decision this weekend.
I think that they realistically saw enough at the combine to where they had an idea of what direction they were going in, but now it's just like straight homework. Like, I mean, I would like to believe that they probably are leaning CJ. That's what that's just because that's just what my football mind has seen. I've seen CJ to me, and I thought that since last year that really he was the top guy. And I get it, like there's a lot with Bryce too. And then with Anthony Richardson, I guess there's now just this hype because of, man, look at what he can be. Like, we're not even like, he's got this size, this. I mean, he went to Florida for a reason. Florida had a lot of hype going into him this past year. I know Josh did. I know he's a Florida guy. That's one of his many teams. But, like, you know, all that hype and nothing came out of it. So I think that they're just doing their due diligence. I do think that they know who they want to choose. They just want to be proven wrong.
You want to know something funny? I heard listening to some sports talk radio today.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying, well, is it a conspiracy? Are they just acting? Are they trying to put up a smoke screen? And teams usually don't let you know who they're drafting before. I go, when you have the number one pick and you know you're not going to trade that pick no matter what, like Carolina, who traded up for that pick, you don't have to hide what you're doing.
Right.
When Texans took Mario Williams over Reggie Bush, we knew before the draft. Last year, you know, Aiden Hutchinson versus our guy at Georgia. People who knew Trent Baalke knew he wasn't drafting Aiden Hutchinson because he drafts traits. He doesn't necessarily draft production.
Right.
Who's the previous number one pick?
2 years ago?
Quarterback.
Burrow was it 2 years before.
I know. When Burrow went first. Say again?
Trevor Lawrence.
Oh yeah, we knew Trevor Lawrence was the first overall pick after when he enrolled at Clemson. You know what I mean? It didn't matter who was there. When Burrow went first overall, since he didn't hide that, when the Dolphins allegedly tried to trade up for number one, they said no, we got our guy. So when you talk about like Kyle Shanahan moving up to 3 and not showing his hand, well, yes, I'm at 3. Somebody at 2 can get who I want, or somebody can move up to 2 and get what I want, you know, or who I want. So I think CJ Stroud's the guy. I would rather gamble my job with CJ Stroud, an Ohio State quarterback who did not call plays and had the best talent on the field all but like 2 or 3 games of his entire career, over drafting an undersized Bryce Young, who has showed that he is actually a better quarterback, but he just does not have the physical skills. And if I had to draft Anthony Richardson, I would consider resigning. If my owner
that's
told
part of my job, yeah, and like that's a part of it.
If my owner wanted me to draft Anthony Richardson or not Kyle Trask or Will Levis, I would consider resigning. Because I'm going to get fired at the end of the year anyways.
And that makes a ton of sense. I mean, at the end of the day, I wouldn't want to be handicapped by, because of the position in the draft we are and potentially a need, that being determining my job, especially if I don't feel comfortable with said person as the person to be leading my company just because of where we're at. Like, nobody wants to be in that position, but that's what made the Falcons this year so peculiar anyways.
I have no idea who we're drafting. I don't believe anything that I see.
But this is what made it. Well, now we have a better understanding, too, if you look at it. Like, we have a better understanding that it's a good chance that they don't draft a quarterback because they signed Taylor Heineke. You're not cutting Ritter because you're not cutting Heineke. So unless you're cutting Ritter, and this is just a huge smokescreen, those are going to be the quarterbacks this season.
Can I tell you a Ritter opinion that I got this week?
Go ahead.
So, I don't know if you saw the post going around of the Falcons possibly getting DeAndre Hopkins. So here's the post: Hopkins 6'1", London 6'4", Pitt 6'6", Jonnu 6'3", Holland 6'3", Patterson 6'2". Good luck matching up against that, especially in the red zone. And the original tweet was the Falcons reportedly interested in all-pro wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. And the person who posted was like, please. And I responded, I said, problem is the distributor of the football. And his response was opinion. We all got one. And I go, you like Ritter? He said, yes. Well, I can't respond to somebody who tells me that they like Desmond Ritter because that tells me they don't watch football or they don't know how to watch football. Because I watched Desmond Ritter play football, and Desmond Ritter does not have stats to lead me to believe that I should want to be the quarterback. Marcus Mariota did not play so well, especially midseason, to where I should have had to wait to the bye for Desmond Ritter to take over.
Mm-hmm.
And Desmond Ritter did not show plays. He did not have flashes of like, oh, I see something here.
Yeah, this
you
is
you know how Anthony Richardson has flashes.
Yeah.
You go, okay, I get why somebody would bet their job on him. I wouldn't because I'm conservative. But I see why you would go that direction.
Right.
Desmond Ritter hadn't shown that. Like Olamide Zaccheaus actually got deep a couple times. And Desmond Ritter threw it.
A couple, but yeah, couples being generous, yeah.
And Desmond Ritter threw it like 15 yards. He overthrew by 15 yards. Like, bro, where are you throwing the ball?
Well, and not to mention, I granted it was just a 4-game sample size, but based on his 4-game sample size and the average of the NFL, he would have ranked dead last of all starting quarterbacks in the NFL that played at least 4 games. And I think that's he's a rookie, but that's a reason for concern. I mean, I don't remember ever watching the Cincinnati football game and saying, man, this guy is flinging it. I never got that. I never took that away from when I watched them play games. Nothing, Lee, nothing. I mean, nothing. I didn't take that away at all. And so, there's that aspect of it. And I just think that when we look at the totality of what it is that the Falcons have going versus the rest of the league, it will get to you to this point of where why Lamar is not signed, and we all have to really question it.
That's real. Hey, I want to close out football in like the next 5 minutes. I know we got some more football here. I didn't expect our Steelers topic to go that long, but I want to get to our other stuff on for the back end of the show.
We didn't talk about how Rocky Top's about to fall.
Huh?
We need to talk about how go ahead. That don't have nothing to do with what we got scheduled, but
okay.
These guys are about to lose.
Well, Hendon Hooker, Falcons, 3rd round, please. Free agency. You want to talk about free agency because you've been underwhelmed with free agency. And I'm going to give you the floor to talk about free agency while I go to the other room for a brief period.
Yeah, and with the free agency, obviously, wow, right? We're already back here again for NFL free agency, and I think that in itself just goes to show that as far away from football as we are, we're always really right by it. But no, this free agency period has been, I don't know, lackluster, underwhelming, not what we thought it would be. I mean, I don't know what's the best way to describe it, but the best way to describe it is not it, because it hasn't been it. And I guess it's been a little surprising because you look up and you're just like, damn, where are the big name guys? There's like no big name guys this year. And of course, my team, Atlanta Falcons, gets set up in a year where we've got tons of cap space, tons of money, and a lot of needs. And for whatever reason, we get Jesse Bates, top safety free agent for sure. But like outside of that, basically a bunch of under the radar type signings. It's not been these big names, big name pass rusher or something like that. We don't get any of that. So instead, we've got to sit up and fucking have to watch and hope that we're able to get somebody else, but that's not going to be the case. And so it's just been one of those free agencies where you have to look at everything and you're like, All right. Well, is this a value signing at the bare minimum? Because clearly everybody's not going to be able to just go out and get that big ass name free agent.
The thing about free agency and value. Most will say, unless you're a contender and you need one piece and you got the cap room to get that one piece, you should only make value signings. If you are overpaying and you're not a good team, what's the point? Because it's a salary cap league and you're closing the door for other quality players, right? It's like drafting a running back in the first round that you're not going to re-sign to an extension.
Right.
Why would you waste the value when you can get a Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round, and who cares how you feel about him in 4 years because you can replace him? Which I think is a bad for the running back position. I think there's going to be an overcorrection soon. There's going to not an overcorrection. It's going to revert back to the mean because it always does. It always does. And real quick before we close out football, because Josh Holsey laughed at some stuff that I said today, and Josh knows that I don't like when you laugh at points that I make, especially when they're valid points. We're talking about Zeke Elliott we're not Zeke Elliott. Sorry, we're talking about DeAndre Hopkins going to the Bills, and I go, well, that doesn't help their inability to control the game. They can't control pace. And in playoff football, you got to be able to control the game.
Right. He says, well, if they score more points, that was his reasoning behind it. Because it's something, anybody's got one of the best offenses of all time can just score points, and that will always win you games. But the best that's not the case.
And we know that some of the most historically productive offenses, whether it's NBA or NFL or even MLB, don't win championships. You got to be able to play defense, and not necessarily like defense in the way that we thought about in the 90s and 2000s, where you got to be really good on defense. But the 49ers, the Chiefs are situationally good. Steve Spagnuolo is a bend and break defense. But he will break you too. He wants 2 turnovers. If he gets his 2, he's good. Or if he gets his on third and 3. He gets that sack, and now you're punting and you can't go for it on 4th down.
Yep.
So you gotta be able to play situational football, and the Bills cannot play good situational football because if it's 2nd and 5, if Josh Allen doesn't run it on 3rd down, on 2nd down, and get 5. They can't turn around and get those 5 yards with their running back.
They can't control the clock, like you said.
Exactly. And so would getting to DeAndre Hopkins be great for them? Sure. They'll beat more teams 42-17. Yeah, they'll still go 13-4. But when the Chiefs decide to feed Pacheco like they did against the Eagles to win that game, that historic pass rush, the most double-digit sack guys on the same team, but they could not make a strategic stop, and the Chiefs could run the ball and pass the ball when they wanted to. It's called controlling the game.
Exactly.
And, but Josh Holsey is the Eagles fan. He doesn't understand that what made Jalen Hurts a great passer was for most games they ran the hell out of the ball and they could control the game.
Well, Josh fails to realize that that's how his team was winning a lot of their games. They could run the ball at will, and they had enough of a threat passing, along with the fact that their defense was, holding teams to 20 points and less.
Well, they get up, and now their pass rush gets to pin their ears back and just go pass rush. Remember? Beasley, all-pro, 16.5 sacks to lead the league, 16.5.
Yeah, but a lot of that was because the offense was putting the pressure. The defense didn't even have to put the pressure on it.
No, our defense really wasn't good. They could just pass rush. We're up early, pass rush. So, yeah, we'll close out football there, man. We don't have to talk about Big Ben and the 49ers. Let's get to our last hour. Last hour on the show is going to be kind of weird this week because there's some sports-ish stuff in our culture hour. That's because we got March Madness going on. We had the World Baseball Classic close out, and then there's just some other stuff we want to talk about. So let's start with the World Baseball Classic here. Parlay Pete. I loved watching it. I was sitting at Crew here in Albany. Yes, Albany has a Crew lounge. It's just shocking as hell.
Is it literally like crew, like the same crew?
Yeah, the green crew that you've heard of and every other. Yeah, same.
Interesting.
Very much so. Definitely brought out more on a Tuesday than I would expect. But it was only my only problem is they didn't have their TVs on at the bar, so I don't know if they don't got their YouTube TV set up or what. So I was watching the World Baseball Classic like on my phone.
Really?
It's fine though.
Did you bring it up to any of the crew members?
Not yet. It was my first time. I was still
do that in there.
Yeah, I like that. I'm trying to. I was trying to train up a young bartender on how to take care of a future regular. Like, here's what I'm drinking. I need you to memorize this.
Best part is that unless she moves, you know that she's not moving from there.
I'm telling you, like, you need to know that when I go this right here, when I do the slow, that's beer. When I do that's shot, like, I need you to know the difference between the two. And I don't need you to ask me what I want a beer, what kind of beer I want, what kind of shot I want. I need you to, train them up,
Right.
So, Ohtani versus Trout is the final at bat. Teammates, arguably the two best players in the MLB.
Okay.
Trout has made his money. Trout has won his MVPs. Trout hasn't won jack shit in Major League Baseball. And if Trout walked into the mall right now, he would be like, who is this jacked white guy? But they wouldn't know he was one of the best players in Major League Baseball.
Right.
Shohei Ohtani, apparently there was like 60 million Japanese people watching the fucking game. Okay. Enough said.
It was good for the game.
It was good for the game. But I bring that up to say that they had that battle to close out the game. And I said in our group text, bro, this is a battle for their locker room. If it seems petty, but in a clutch moment like that for the World Baseball Classic, if Trout doesn't get a hit, he loses part of the locker room. Because Shohei is hitting at the level that he's hitting at. And he's also a pitcher. But he also plays in the field.
And it did so in that said game.
Bro, Shohei came into the game batting 450. And then closed it out by throwing gas 100.
Now, for what's worth too, Trout also has been doing this a minute.
He has.
Because, hell, he ain't really been healthy his last 3 years, 4 years. I mean, shit. All them MVPs he won were like, that was like that 2016, 17, 18. Like, I mean.
Yeah, back when the Steelers
were in those playoffs. And then think about it, too. Baseball, too, MVPs aren't awarded to who the best team is. It's awarded to the best player. They don't take notes about what your record is.
Other leagues should take notes.
Is that what I guess? What makes you an MVP? And then that's a real question.
Well, yeah. What is value?
Is it being the best player in baseball or in any sport? Is it being the best player with the combination of wins, at least throughout? Because it's a regular season award, obviously. Because if that was the case, they would just do it after every postseason for every sport. But like it's a regular season award. But is it at the time of voting, this was what was the? I mean, what?
I don't know. Nobody knows what an MVP is. There is no objective criteria for what an MVP is.
Okay,
doesn't exist. But I said Mike Trout lost the locker room because Shohei's the better baseball player.
Okay,
and then on the big stage in the clutch, where Mike Trout has really never been in the clutch because he's never been on a winning team.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, he threw 102 in the dirt and followed it up with an 87-mile slider. That's filth. And to be able to do that while also being able to hit for power and field at a respectable level. Shohei Ohtani is a recreation baseball player in major leagues. Like the best kid on the team, the coach's son who plays shortstop, pitches, bats cleanup. And then they tell you as you get older, you can't do that anymore. Shohei's doing it. And I hope that Shohei is making baseball what it should be. Like we're getting rid of these parameters on players, these blockers on talent, because I was always confused. Why can't a pitcher hit well? Like that's crazy to me. There's 24 hours in a day, bro. Like you can work on BP and you can work on pitching just like the other players work on fielding. Like I'm confused here. And I know guys who pitched growing up and they could hit. They play other positions.
Especially like old school ball, right?
Yeah.
Now it's kind of considered old school ball, but if you look at now that we have a universal DH, but of course us watching NL ball, being Braves fans and growing up here in the Georgia, Atlanta area, you naturally would see the pitcher hit and you're kind of like, yeah, that was always a question of why that is. And then even with the history of baseball, you look up and you see, well, Babe Ruth pitched at one point. I know Cy Young, like these people that are like, just remember baseball.
Bro, I just remember I just played baseball and a lot of the pitchers were good. And we were talking, and Justice brought up why we lost because our big pitchers didn't play. And I'm go, well, the pitchers are just like quarterbacks. They're the most coddled athletes, American sports athletes. Like we talk about the NBA player because it's so easy to talk about the privileged black people who are poor and now they got something, so they just throw their power all around when they get a chance to. But these pitchers, these quarterbacks are coddled. They are so coddled, and it makes absolutely no sense. Oh, I can't pitch because it might mess me up for the season. And I don't know if you heard John Smoltz talk about it. He's like, man, you got to play baseball. Like you can't control when something bad happens. Play baseball. And I was happy to hear that from a Brave because I love John Smoltz, great Brave. The A Mike on Fox now that the A Mike on Fox who gets the World Series. Great starter, great closer. And it's just I like to see the disruption because just like some of these quarterbacks, the way they didn't let athletic players play quarterback, I think the same thing can happen with pitching is, oh, this guy, he can throw heat, but he can't hit. What happens if a guy can throw heat and he can hit? There's a lot of black outfielders who can throw the ball on a line from deep center to the plate. Hey, that guy can throw 99. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's and I think that internationally, one thing I think that the World Baseball Classic would bring to light is that there are so many talented players across the world, and specifically with that sport being maybe the easiest, and not the easiest, but the easiest in terms of like bringing that to light. Like, yeah, there's international players in the NBA. There's even some in the NFL now, but like baseball is a sport where you could have a team like Tokyo come out because the second biggest league behind the MLB is in Tokyo.
Yeah.
It is where motherfuckers go. So that is the Euro League of baseball where there's top guys. That's where they get guys like Shohei, Dice K, Matsu, like all these dudes that came over, they all came from the Tokyo League. So it doesn't even come as that big of a surprise, at least from that perspective. Look at fucking Tennessee, bro. They should be ashamed of themselves.
I'm watching NBA now.
No, man, I'm disappointed. This is what I need. I needed these niggas to win. And I should have just taken them first half. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you still got some time.
No, I don't. This game is over, Lee. It's a 7-point game with 50 seconds left. There'd have to be a lot to happen. Like this brother's going to have to miss both his free throws.
Well, he's gonna feed his family. He keeps winning, Mr.
Is that the dude? That's the dude that said it, right? He's
yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to feed my family.
And I said I hope he gets a degree. But yeah, speaking of college basketball, Rick Pitino just took the job at St. John's, and I saw where Rob Parker and Chris Broussard talked about it, and they weren't. Rob Parker was not a fan of it based on the caption that I read. I hate that Rick Pitino is getting painted any differently than these other coaches because he got caught. You know, it's like your drinking buddy who gets the DUI and everybody wants to call him a drunk, but y'all are always drunk together.
Right.
Or the guy you smoke pot with, he gets the weed charge. Right,
he's a weed. Yeah, he's a
druggie.
Right.
Like, oh well, you do every time you do drugs, he does drugs. You're there, and you're doing with him. Rick Pitino got caught. Louisville overreacted because in all of that, nobody got in real trouble. Like, nobody got in real trouble.
Yeah, well, you don't even remember much from that Rick Pitino Louisville era. Even the star player on the national championship team. Who's the best player on that team?
I don't know. I just know he won a natty, and I remember he won it in Atlanta. And I was at the Hooters watching the game. And I walked from Hooters back to campus, went by the Georgia Dome, ran into some fans, bummed a cig off a random Louisville fan, and we took a selfie together.
Louisville basketball, obviously, they were really bad this year. They were pretty fucking bad. I guess I'm just curious as to even just in general. Let's see. When did they get vacated? Okay, so they essentially haven't been relevant since he's been gone, which is no surprise. Let me see. Yeah, they've been irrelevant ever since he left. And that really comes as no surprise. And it is shocking just because you would have thought that he did, one of the what do they call? One of the 5 deadly sins.
Mm-hmm.
You would have thought that he did something real serious there for the way that he got blackmailed.
Bro, what it boiled down to is Louisville was trying to show the NCAA that they were serious about this and they didn't know what was going on, and they're going to cut the head off the snake. And because Louisville is one of the most, I want to say their boosters pay the most into their basketball program and into the entire country. They go like, we have the money just to hire the next guy. Right. They got Chris Mack, and this shit didn't work. And they thought they were going to get DJ Wagner by hiring like his granddad, and nothing.
What are you looking at?
Off mic conversation.
Okay.
One of those topics that we don't talk about up here. But yeah, I'm just happy for Rick Pitino because at the end of the day, I don't care about the person. Rick Pitino is one of the best basketball coaches of my lifetime, and he should be on the bench. He should be on the bench that he can win on if he wants to be there. Like, he shouldn't have to coach at Iona or in the Greek league, coaching Giannis's third cousin twice removed. He should recruit 5 stars, use NIL, and bring them to New York and get St. John's back in the Garden playing real basketball. He's going to. He's going to win a Big East championship within 3 years.
I'm going to tell you now, Lee, just because it's on and it's fresh and I'm watching it, I am so glad to see Tennessee get eliminated. Not because I bet on them, and of course my money is where my heart really is, right? But because I'm watching this, and I think it's crazy how these guys they're playing against a team that they are better than at the end of the day. They certainly, I tell you what, the dollars and the programs say as much, but they're sitting in this position, and Rick Barnes, all his old white ass can do is sit up and say, "Look, boys, we had a good run. But now it's time for Cancun. Can I get it on 3? Because they
Hold it.
it's spring break time too for college kids. So if you're not playing in the NCAA tournament, you might as well be somewhere fucking looking at Dre in a bikini. I mean, I don't know, but
bro, how mad would you be if you're like the 13th man on the bench, or you're the walk on who you know you're not gonna play, and y'all decide to go on the Cinderella run and you miss spring break?
It'd be a part of life though, like in a sense of. But these motherfuckers, they already talking shit. Who does Florida Atlantic play?
You hear about the budget cuts coming to ESPN?
No, I didn't hear. I know you had said something briefly, but I didn't hear about them.
So here's what's happened. Bob Iger is back in the building at Disney.
Okay.
And ESPN and ABC historically reported their financials together.
Okay.
Iger saying, no. Let's cut it. I want ESPN to report what they're making independently. And I guess Bob didn't like what he saw.
What did Bob see, though?
We're overpaying high-end talent. We're overpaying talent that's not bringing in numbers.
Okay.
Because we're the worldwide leader.
So who gets cut in that process is the question.
So there was a report that came out that Stephen A's on the chopping block. I don't believe that to be true.
I don't believe that either. They would come in to do a pay cut, and then from there be like, "Well, you can assess, your other." I don't feel like they would.
Well, no, I don't think they cut him. But what I think is and Marcellus Wiley talked about. He says they're gonna just stop paying the no-name people. So think about somebody who you think ESPN can get rid of. Mm-hmm. That was backcourt. That was so stupid. This guy from Gonzaga just threw the ball backcourt with no pressure because he wasn't paying attention to what's happening.
Is it because he's an idiot?
Absolutely. He's probably in those classes that you don't get credits for. But no. So Marcellus was like, think about the people who work for the network that probably make a lot of money, but they don't like the mid-tier guys. Dan Orlovsky.
Oh, Dan?
I don't think Dan's on the chopping block because Dan's going to cover games and do a bunch of stuff. Like, they're going to stretch that 1.5 that they're paying him. But having Michael Irvin and Chris Russo coming in and they're getting a dumb bag for a little bit of work. It's like, no.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't put those guys on either.
We're gonna get a guy who's gonna be happy to work at ESPN, and we're gonna give him $500,000.
Dan Orlovsky.
Because what in the last round of budget cuts, they lost Ryan Russillo, great talent. I ain't gonna say they lost Cowherd and Skip. They just made a decision because they saw the budget cuts coming and they had a better opportunity at Fox. Trent Dilfer got cut. Michelle Beadle got cut. Jamel Hill, Michael Smith. People who are definitely good enough to be on the network and deserve the roles that they were in. But I mean,
some of these people you don't even see or hear from again either.
Well, a lot of them have gone independent, and they're doing great stuff in their independent lane. But who gives a fuck about their independent lane because it's independent lane? You know what I mean?
Right. What it is, and I'm looking at Michelle Beadle now. I was surprised she went, but then I look at it, it's like, well, Michelle, you're almost 50. So it's like, yeah, we're going to put a younger, hotter, looking versions of you. We already were stuck up on And not Aaron Andrews, but
yeah. With Sarah Walsh?
mm-mm.
Talking about the news that got leaked, right?
NBA. She began to work NBA way more.
Oh yeah, I can see her face. Oh God, the one who had the
I'm talking
comments.
about Aaron Andrews, though. I mean, these were the.
You're talking about Jimmy Butler rumors.
Yep.
You're talking about the Malika
Yep.
Andrews piece.
Yep.
Her. I think they get rid of the African WNBA chick. They're not getting rid of Malika.
Hold on. Because it's always Aaron Andrews, Lisa Salters, and who else? See, but this is my point. And this is how replaceable you are in that industry. At least
don't know their name. What other name?
The names are even coming up. And
Syracuse, Northwestern, UGA, USC, all these major schools. Oh yeah, and don't forget women's sports are giving us another attractive young lady to moderate a show because they're not letting many women give like true analysis. Not my word, not my thoughts and my opinion. What I consume on sports television.
right.
Joy Taylor is no longer the co-host of The Herd. They gave it to Jason McIntyre, who's terrible. Joy is moderating, Joy is on another show in a less popular time block. Okay. Jenna Wolf was on First Things First. Now it's an all-male show. Okay. There are not many women who are giving analysis in sports, and I'm not saying that they don't deserve to, but the industry is the industry. I mean, it is what it is. And guess what? They're going to find another woman, young woman, who hasn't made shit, who will take less.
Yeah, they make it right.
It's not right. It's not right. And it's not just women. It's it's guys. It has been players who, like, you know how much easier it is to get Dan Orlovsky to come to your network and make 1.5 than it is to get Peyton Manning to show up for the car wash once. Like, Peyton and Eli don't do the car wash ever. They do Peyton's places and Eli's whatever on the Plus app. I ain't seen Troy on the car wash, and I ain't seen Joe on a baseball game.
Yeah, and I guess we'll get to see technically because they did hire them last offseason if Joe does any baseball.
Bro, if they're paying Joe that much, Joe loves baseball. He's not doing baseball.
I feel like he would want to call it to begin with, but right. But then there's the Troy factor. It's like, well, I mean,
he was doing baseball at Fox though.
Well, at that point, I'm saying, true. But then at that point, even with Troy, not that you got to make him do extra because he, like you said, if we talk about Fox, I don't remember Troy being on FS1 ever. But maybe he got on Cowherd once. Like maybe he got on the Herd once
a year.
But in reality, was he a contributor or was he the equivalent to like Steve Young and Jaws used to be on Pardon the Interruption for that 5-minute segment where they took
they had Jaws on today for his birthday.
On Pardon the Interruption?
Yeah.
He used to be a regular contributor. I remember when he was on there a lot. Him and Steve Young, like those were the two dudes I feel like they got on there a lot. So honestly, because Jaws didn't work for ESPN.
No, he was in that round of budget cuts too. So,
well, that's pretty dope that they would get him on. He used to be on there a lot. That's what I'm saying. That's why I bring him up. Like, I didn't see it today, but like he used to be on there a lot. Him and Steve Young would be like the two people they would get.
If you're a fan of the ESPN shows, expect for your favorite personality to have a podcast coming soon.
Right.
Let me see. Is there anything else on here? Yeah. 2 more things before we get out of here. We got 10 minutes. I think we can hit these 2 in 10 minutes.
Let's hit them.
6ix9ine got jumped for being a snitch at LA Fitness, and he had on some like little shorts.
I woke up to that video And what I think that was what confused me more than anything. I don't even think it was the fact that he was leaguing or that he had been jumped. I was just like, yo, why is he wearing this at the gym and his hair? Like, it didn't look like he was at a gym, kind of.
It looked like he was trying to pick up guys.
Yeah, it looked open.
Yeah, butthole open. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm not saying it as a judgment piece, but he looked very feminine in his appearance.
Yes.
The guys who jumped him, Boosie was saying that, he started to GoFundMe for them. And I had a good friend say, yeah, they're going to need it because they beat up a federal witness.
I didn't even think that deep into it, but certainly that is the way that you can look at it.
I hope they fry. I hope those guys fry, and here's why.
The jumpers?
The jumpers, yeah.
Okay.
Because it was all about clout. I don't really rock with Adam 22, but no jumpers around here. You know what I mean? I think they should, you beat this guy up for, what did he do to you? Did he snitch on you? Did he mess up your money? Oh, no, you just beat him up because he's a snitch? And you recorded it? Give him the book.
Well, they recorded it, and then they couldn't even take, hey, this was us. Now they can't even do that, right? I'm sure within their little posses, as Phil Jackson liked to call it to LeBron, maybe they brought it up. They brought it up within that circle, right? But I don't really know.
Bro, if somebody dropped that video in the locker room, I would call whoever's. I say, hey, bro, that's corny. You get no cool points here. Don't show us those types of videos. What else I got? Ringling Brothers, Bart and Bailey's coming back with no animals at the circus because I guess Josh Holsey and PETA scared them off. I mean, I get it. Last time I went to the circus was your freshman year of college, my sophomore year, right?
Who'd you go see? Did you go see the Universal?
No, God, no.
Universal Circus.
Bad experience. The first time I went, the animals didn't make it.
The animals didn't make it.
No,
nigga, they died at the show.
I don't know. They must have got caught in Columbus or some shit.
Oh, you're just saying that they didn't make it to the show?
Yes.
They used to be. So my mom's birthday is March 2nd.
Okay.
We talked about that
last week. Yeah, last week.
Well, it could have been on. Let's see. I'm looking at the numbers. It would have fallen on one of my mom's birthdays, but this was the thing. Point being, so that was one of the things she liked to do with us. Like on her birthday, we would always go to the circus because the circus is always in town here in March, and we would go to Universal. And I don't know. I think a part of it certainly was because it was a black circus. I definitely believe that.
Well, that's why we tried to go. And actually, you know what? Let me tell you, we went during the era of Drumline, and the band, I think it was Southwest DeKalb that played in Drumline. They were playing at Universal Circus the year we went, and it wasn't no animals, with no lions, no elephants.
Right.
But when I went back in college, the animals just looked so sad and like they didn't want to be there. And I was not as open-minded then as I am now.
Right.
I was not as caring about these causes then as I am now. And I'm not no big animal rights person. I think you should treat animals humanely.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. I think you should treat animals. You should properly treat animals, but you should not treat them like I also don't think they're human beings. Like my dogs are not like my kids. They're my dogs. I own them. They're a possession. And I treat them like I treat most of my possessions very well, right? Like they're a living thing, so I don't think they should just die. I should treat them like shit. None of that, but
right.
Still. But the way I looked at those elephants, I was like, oh, this isn't right. They don't want to be here. And it just struck a nerve with me. I'm like, yo, I'm good off the circus.
I haven't been to the circus since I was younger.
Okay.
But only because obviously just No,
Bro, once you grow up, it's hard.
It's hard to get into a lot of stuff the older you get in general. I think they're showing Adam Morrison here now. Whew, talk about a blast from the past when you see a guy like Adam Morrison.
Well, they said Adam Morrison used to like not bathe and dip all the time. That just doesn't work well in the basketball locker room.
Hold on. He wouldn't bathe and he dipped?
Yeah.
Well, they're showing it because Gonzaga's beating UCLA, and I guess that when Gonzaga, when he lost that last year, there's like it's not a meme because it wasn't meme worthy back then, but it's like him like crying with like his like pencil drawn kind of stash, and it's like him like boo-hooing. And it's just like, Adam, bro, you're literally one of the top players in the world. Like, you're getting drafted. You went fucking Michael Jordan drafted you. Which that's not a good thing, I guess. But
hey, question for you. So the preview that we talked about doing, you want to do that like while we're live? Or do you want to like me create a whole nother thing that we do?
Well, my thought was off air, but recording.
Okay.
Or doing it a day before, one or the other. But we would have to have everything lined up.
Bro, we can't do it a day before because of the way we do the show.
I know, but that would be why if we pre-production it doesn't matter what time of day it is.
Well, we're never gonna pre-production, right? You know that.
That is true.
I'm making another link right now so that when we get off of here, we can like just record it and be done with it.
Okay.
Let's see. What's today's date?
Today's the 23rd. Oh boy, I cannot believe that I let Tennessee just snake me like this.
I mean, you.
Oh, bro, this is disgusting. Bro, that's disgusting. I'm not even gonna lie. This is disgusting.
Zan's Perky check. Bill Belichick.
UCLA has not scored a basket in 10 minutes.
I have not been paying attention that in depthly, but I've had the game on and it has looked that.
I swear to God. Well, it just showed it. They haven't made a field goal in 10 minutes. So they've completely blown this game to Gonzaga, which is fine. It's not good for my pockets, but like.
All right, I just sent you the one for the little blip thing that we're going to record. Is there anything else you want to say before we get out of here? Because we're almost at 3 hours.
That good night, UCLA.
Hey, good night, UCLA, ESPN, and you making budget cuts and wanting to bring in cheap talent. We're for hire.
We're here. We're not queer though.
No, we're not.
We can still get used to it.
If they offered us 150 right now, would you move to Bristol?
Move? Yeah, if I'm on ESPN, yeah, I'd do it. If I got to move and be on ESPN,
yeah. No, we're gonna be on ESPN. Like we gotta do the car wash, but then like we get to do the podcast.
I get my foot in the door. I could still run the company. Yeah, for 150. Yeah, I'd do it.
What about 80?
I'm still on ESPN and doing.
Yeah, we're still on ESPN. We're still getting access.
Well, how many hours a week am I working? Because I gotta still be able to do my own company at that point. Because that ain't enough to live off of. Especially, I have to imagine up there, it's definitely not.
Well, you get 2 squares on campus.
How many square feet is that?
How about square meals? Oh, you're living in a shit shack, buddy.
It probably is still worth it. I mean, if I want a career, at ESPN, like it's worth it. But they can't tell me I'm working 80 hours a week. And then
so
that's basically me cutting off making less money. Or make what I make more money off of. I have to cut off that, and I can't do that.
So you wouldn't work as many hours as Stephen A does for 80K.
I don't even know what Stephen A does outside of
every
first in the morning, and then half the time he records remotely. Like he's not even in studio.
No, but he does First Take. He usually does a hit on Greeny show that I never watch. He does the NBA studio show.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does his podcast. That's an ESPN podcast. I don't think he does his radio show anymore, though.
Probably not.
I know Charles Barkley makes more money than him and works a lot less hours.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. All right.
Well, anyways, hey, Parlay Pete, let's go record this this promo video for the pod so I can put it out like first thing in the morning.
Let's get it done.
All right. I'll holler at you.
All right.